San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? And a happy Friday to everybody out there in America's finest city. I'm Braden Surprenant. He's Frank Marchese. We are the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Somebody's already asking if I got some pie from the morning show. No, they're already out. I didn't realize Ace Hardware was the place to be for pie. I missed that part of the Ben and Wood show today. I tuned in. They're talking about pie. And we have discussed now that Wood's approach to the whole caramel in his pie thing, he said I understand what he's saying now. He doesn't want too much, otherwise he becomes rich. It's not like a saving calories thing. It's not like because I came into the room and I go, I agree with Ben, man. If you're flattening a tire, you're already flattening a tire. You might as well flatten 2 or 3 or just flatten all 4. Who cares? I mean, at that point, you've already made the decision to have pie. So what's the problem with having some caramel in your pie? Now, Woods went back and said, hey, it's not that because I like caramel. It's just sometimes it just makes the pie it's just too much. And I'm like, too rich? He's like, yes, that's it. Too rich. Sometimes desserts are too rich. I agree with that. You go to like the Cheesecake Factory, they got this like, every one of their cheesecakes is just ridiculous. And then you dive into it. You have like 2 bites. You're like, all right, I'm done. I need water now. This is just too much. This is just too rich. I get where he's coming from now. But to answer Gracie's question, no, I did not get any pie, which is fine with me. Because as I was driving it, and now here's the deal, and I appreciate this every time. Sometimes the morning show has extra stuff. Hey, do you guys want some of this? I was preparing myself to fight the battle of turning down pie because I probably shouldn't have pie to start the morning on a Friday. That was my decision making on the way in. Like yesterday, I was immediately thinking about what Ben was saying about his Peloton PR that needed to put up just to burn off the donut that he had yesterday when Randy's Donuts was here. Couldn't do it. I got too much stuff going on today. I don't want to set the tone improperly by consuming some pie. But they're out. They're already out. Now I know to go to Ace Hardware for pie, apparently. I had never heard of that, Frank. Have you heard of that before? The Ace Hardware pie thing?
Never once.
Because I was listening to the segment on the way into work today, but I didn't hear the Ace Hardware part. I tuned in a little bit too late. And he was like, yeah, I was like, Ace Hardware? Can't believe it. I might have to try that. We might have to try. You know what, Frank? It's time to do a food review.
Is it now?
Mm-hmm. We said we wanted to do these by March.
Yeah.
That's not a bad one to start with. So go ahead. Go to Ace Hardware. Get yourself some pie. Try it in your car.
What about you, big dog? Like
you gotta let me know how it is, and then that's the whole point of the review.
There it is. So no, it's not. It's not a review. It's you're the guinea pig, and if it's good, then I'll get.
See, now at this point, that's probably a bad idea because you don't like anything. You are very particular about what you eat. Am I wrong with that?
No, you're not.
I mean, you're super picky.
I am. Yes.
I mean, poor Craft Taco, when they come by, you have to get like can I have like a little bit of carne here? But like that's just, very selective. Very selective. Frank knows what he likes. Why waste time consuming calories if they're not going to taste good?
Exactly.
You know what? I respect that.
Thank you very much.
I respect that. Just selective. I have a feeling I'm going to have to do the reviews first on all of these. Frank's not going to be like, I don't know if I want to eat that. Or it's going to be the dumbed down version of it. Yeah, so they have this brand new I can't say pizza. He's already a pizza snob as it is. They got this brand new burrito place. They got this, and this. I took everything off of it but the meat and cheese. How was it? It tastes like any other taco. It's not that great.
It was actually pretty good.
How was it, Frank? Well, it tasted like any other taco, just like any other taco. Oh, well, I don't know. Maybe because you took all the things off of it that made it a good taco. It's the things that we can't do on the show. You know what? I'm on to something here.
Exactly. Go Aztecs. It was, bless you. It was to my liking. 10 out of 10.
If you get a 10 out of 10 score on a food review, I might smack you.
I will not.
I know. You're better than that. I know you're better than that. All right. Let's dive into what we got going on the show today. We're going to get into a lot of different things, mostly baseball. We got more sound, of course. We're going to have sound every single day from Peoria. We got some player sound today. Miguel Andujar met with the media today. We'll play that later on in the 11 o'clock hour. Jason Adam discussed whether or not he believes that he might be available for opening day, if that's a possibility. He talked about that earlier today. Craig Stammen was asked about how he views the team's catchers and how he plans to implement Freddie Fermin and Luis Campusano. So we got a lot of good sound from Peoria that we'll get to in the 11 o'clock hour. And then in the noon hour, Sam Levitt will join us to give us the full camp report. We'll do that at noon. In the 1 o'clock hour, we will be continuing our 30 teams in 30-ish days. And it's definitely 30-ish days because we haven't done this since last week.
Well, because everyone's going to camp now. So that's next week. It'll be more of a prominent thing again.
Please save that clip. I know how hard it is to get writers and people from organizations on a daily basis. It's hard. It's hard to do. Is. It's not easy.
No, it's not.
Been there, done that. Totally understand. So we'll continue our 30 teams in 30-ish days. We are working through the Grapefruit League right now. We have knocked off, 3? Going to knock off a 4th today with the Yankees.
Yes.
Going to talk about Yankees baseball today. That's going to excite a lot of people, right? Frank's going to be just tuned into his New York Yankees.
Yep.
He's so excited. Right. We'll do that in the 1 o'clock hour. Drake Hills will join us at 1:35. College baseball starts today. First pitch delivered at 9 a.m. this morning with Houston playing down in Puerto Rico. They're not playing against Puerto Rico. I forget who they're playing against, but they're playing in some tournament down there. And we got college baseball, which in continuation of our college baseball preview, we had Brock Ungrich on yesterday. Today, we're going to have San Diego State Aztecs baseball coach Kevin Vance on at 10:35. Talk about the Aztecs and their start to the season. We were just complaining about Flow Sports. That game will not be on Flow Sports, thank the Lord. We will be discussing that later on with Kevin Vance. Of course, Aztec baseball back in action. They have Long Island this weekend. And then we're going to talk about the two biggest stories in baseball right now. One of them being the Nick Castellanos situation, which we were leaving yesterday. And Frank goes, well, if there's an article actually coming out on Nick Castellanos, I want to read that article. I want to see it bad. And you know what? I could see why Nick Castellanos decided to try to get ahead of said article. It's not a great endorsement to bring Nick Castellanos in to any clubhouse, to be honest with you. After reading this article, we're going to discuss it later on the show. I don't even want Nick Castellanos for league minimum. I really don't. I mean, if the Padres do, I'm sure we can find, they could try to vet the process and all that stuff, but I want to kind of nip that in the bud right now. You don't necessarily know if you want Nick Castellanos walking around over here. I really don't. I mean, the beer thing is like the tip of the iceberg with Nick Castellanos. On top of the fact, teammates got frustrated with him. There was a philosophical divide. He thinks about himself more than the team. And he wasn't a, quote, bad teammate, but he's not a team player. Plus, his production went down. You don't really want that here in San Diego. I don't really think you want that in San Diego. You don't need a guy that's not a team player because right now you're trying to find assets that are going to play above what they're making because you're looking for value because that's where you're at right now payroll-wise. You know what doesn't do that? A guy that just plays for himself. He would be the anti-Luis Arraez.
Did we play the game later of who would you rather have, Nick Castellanos or Juan Soto? Did we play that game later?
I'd much rather have Juan Soto. That's not even a question. At least Juan Soto's like really good at baseball.
There you go, folks. Tune in later in the show.
That's not even like the Nick Castellanos stuff is worse. At least you know what you get out of Juan Soto. I mean, like Nick Castellanos just plummeted with his numbers. I mean, his production was not good. And for $100 million, I could see why the Phillies let him go, on top of the fact that he was a massive headache. Even go into the final couple days of him being in Philadelphia, the team clinches a playoff spot, or the division, I can't remember off the top of my head. They clinched the NL East, and teammates are celebrating, and Castellanos is by himself smoking a cigar. That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. And we'll talk more about that later on. The other big story, of course, and here's the deal. Like, I'm tired of talking about this. I'm tired of getting propaganda shoved down my throat from the media members in Major League Baseball to talk about how great the sport is and there's nothing that needs to be changed. You know, and I like Jeff Passan, and I agree with a lot of things Jeff Passan says. But Jeff Passan's article again yesterday, I know this is big, and I know we're going to continue to talk about this, the labor dispute and salary cap for salary floor. I just feel like he takes a big swing and a miss on a lot of points he puts into this article that he had yesterday about labor negotiations. I mean, again, they continue to blame the Marlins, A's, and Rockies of the world, yet refuse to blame teams like the Red Sox and the Cubs who don't spend high percentages of their revenue on their baseball team. They just reach a certain threshold, and therefore it checks off as them, quote, trying. But Jeff Passan yesterday takes a deeper dive into the labor war between the players and the owners. He gives the Dodger effect, the owners' positions, and the players' positions. And when we come back, I poke holes in a lot of the problems I poke holes in a lot of the arguments that he makes in this article. We'll get to that when we come back. Kevin Vance will join us at 10:35. We're just getting started on a Friday. Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's number sports station, 97.3 The Fan. For the first time since 2014, the NHL has let players back in the Olympics, and that alone makes this the most important men's hockey tournament in over a decade. No more who's that guy rosters, no more watered down competition. This is best on best, with the league's biggest stars finally getting their Olympic moment. Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, Austin Matthews, Sidney Crosby, and yes, the Kachucks. This isn't just an Olympic tournament. This is the NHL reintroducing itself to the world.
Yes, it is, and it's very fun to see. And they're doing this, by the way. They're allowing these players to go to the Olympics in lieu of an all-star game. So you're not going to get an all-star game this year. You're not going to get another Four Nations tournament. These guys have committed themselves to the Olympics. So the NHL has shut itself down for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and this tournament obviously matters. The NHL and its players have fought for years over Olympic participation. Owners hated shutting down the season. Players hated missing the biggest stage in sports. COVID killed it in 2022. Politics removed Russia in 2026. But after the Four Nations face-off last year lit a fuse under U.S. versus Canada, the league realized something. International hockey still hits different. This is about growing the game, but it's also about legacy. For Connor McDavid, for McKinnon, this is their first Olympics. For Crosby, it could be his last. That alone raises the stakes.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is absolutely huge. And yes, every single time you ask any player, whether it be in soccer, whether it be in baseball, basketball, whatever, when the front of your jersey doesn't say Lakers, when it doesn't say Yankees, when it doesn't say Padres, when it doesn't say Barcelona, it means more. When it's your nation on the front of it, it makes you play that much harder. And that's exactly what the Four Nations was able to remind the NHL, is that it's not just that it hits different, it's that it means more to the players playing.
Now, the elephant in the room, of course, is no Russia. And for whatever, for all the reasons of why Russia is not competing, is a different conversation. But just from the on ice conversation, Russia's absence matters, period. I mean, you can go through the list of stars that are not playing in the Olympics because Russia's not in it. It makes it kind of technically best on most of the best, but it also means something else that's also important. the path is clearer than ever for U.S. or Canada to dominate.
Yeah, absolutely. That means no Kiprasov, no Nikita Kucherov, no Alexander Ovechkin, no Artemi Panarin in the All-Star game. So in the Olympics, pardon me. So that means, yeah, it is. It's kind of more or less the U.S. versus Russia, but we've seen Sweden be very U.S. versus Canada, but we've seen Sweden, we've seen Finland, we've seen Norway be able to play very, very well in these style of tournaments. So you can't overlook, especially those teams. And also Germany has a couple of pretty decent NHLers on their roster.
Yeah, this could be the last Olympics, though, played under the restrictions of not allowing Russia in the competition, which the door is already cracking open for Russia's return down the road, which makes this tournament even more pivotal for countries like the United States and Canada, who look to be on a collision course. Now, Canada, talented, experienced, but they have a goalie problem. Canada's roster is ridiculous. They have so many different names that you see in the NHL all the time. McDavid, McKinnon, Crosby, down the middle might be the best center trio ever assembled. Cale Marker might already be the best defenseman alive. They've got skill, snarl, and a championship pedigree everywhere. But the issue is they don't trust its goaltending.
No, and Cale Makar out front can't do everything. You have Jordan Binnington, who was unbelievable in the Four Nations tournament, but he has been unbelievable in the NHL this season. Darcy Kemper, Logan Thompson are upgrades, but compared to what the U.S. has, it's got nothing on Canada. Canada's got nothing on them.
Yeah, Canada's very much a soft spot in terms of the goalkeeping. If Canada loses, it's not because they didn't score, it's because they didn't get any saves. As for Team USA, this is the deepest team that they have ever had.
Yeah, absolutely. Matthew Tkachuk, Austin Matthews, Jack Eichel down the middle. You've got the Tkachuk brothers bringing chaos and confident, and boy, did they bring chaos in the Four Nations tournament. Elite puck-moving defensemen, Connor Hellebuck, Jake Ottinger, Jeremy Swayman in net is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, they've got some of the best goaltenders in the world right now. However, they did leave a couple of big names home.
Yeah, which are some of the names that they had left on the offensive side back in the States?
Yeah, Cole Caulfield, Jason Robertson those are big-time young players that unfortunately, because of how deep and how stacked this U.S. roster is, just unfortunately not able to make the trip.
Yeah, they picked a lot of defensive first choices, which asked the question, if the Americans trail late in a gold medal game, can they outscore Canada, or are they built more to just protect? Broadcasting live for the Bill House Studios, we know how. Got a lot of guests today. We have 4 guests today. 4 guests on the David P. Shapiro fan hotline. We got Kevin Vance coming up in the next segment. We're going to preview Aztec baseball with him. He is the head coach of San Diego State baseball. His first year as the head coach. And they've made some improvements over at Tony Gwynn Stadium that we need to talk about. Obviously, trying to get that program back up and running to what they have been in the past. And we talked to Brock Ungrich yesterday, who runs the University of San Diego Toreros program, who also is an Aztec, and the impact that Tony Gwynn has had on that program. And of course, we'll talk about the program that's near and dear, close to the heart of the Gwynn family, with San Diego State coming up at 10:35. But before we get to that, big article yesterday on ESPN.com from Jeff Passan. And this is the stuff that I'm talking about. It's major eye roll for me. He makes some good points, but at the same time, you can poke holes in a lot of the stuff that he's bringing up. So Major League Baseball, according to Jeff Passan and whatever, is booming. It is in a strange paradox, as he lays out. The sport is growing. Young fans are engaging. They have international popularity now with Japan, Canada, some of the countries around the United States now. The pitch clock and star power are working, and yet the league appears headed towards its biggest labor war since 1994, when the World Series was canceled. The core issue, a potential salary cap showdown when the current CBA expires December 1st, 2026. The Los Angeles Dodgers have become the lightning rod of this conversation. After winning back-to-back World Series, they signed Shohei Ohtani to a heavily deferred mega deal. They have landed Yoshinobu Yamamoto. They've added Blake Snell. They signed Kyle Tucker to a massive short-term high AAV deal, and they built what rivals call the Death Star. Most of those additions have happened before the back-to-back World Series, but then they have added Kyle Tucker on top of that. Their spending alongside the Mets exists in a different stratosphere. Over the past 5 seasons, the Mets have spent the most money, $1.78 billion. The Dodgers have spent the second most, $1.71 billion. And the A's, Pirates, etc., some of the teams at the bottom are under $400 million over a decade combined. That's a staggering gap. Now, the owner's position on this is they believe the system is broken. Competitive balance is distorted. A salary cap would increase franchise values, control labor costs, and prevent runaway spending and create parity. Some owners are reportedly willing to risk missing games to force a cap. They argue that spending correlates strongly with winning. Top payrolls dominate playoff spots and championships. Their frustration is amplified by the perception that the Dodgers and Mets exploit every financial loophole, deferred contracts lower luxury tax calculations, and rich owners operate in a different galaxy. I think a lot of those points, Frank, before we get to the players' view of things, is very fair.
Yes.
From the owner's position.
Absolutely.
I think it's incredibly fair. Now, the players. And I can see where the players have some of their arguments, but they're arguments that don't carry a lot of weight for me.
This is also really the first time with camp being open and all these media personalities out to be able to talk to these players. This is really the first time that these players have really had a chance to go out and say their piece on this. We've heard from owners, we've heard from Major League Baseball all offseason. This is the first time the players have really had their voice heard on this particular opinion now for this year.
Here's how the players view this. The MLB Players Association sees things differently. They argue baseball already has more championship diversity than the NFL, NBA, and NHL. I say false on that. That's not the argument. The argument is not who the champion is. The argument is what markets have a chance to win. And in the NFL, the NBA, and the NHL, small markets have an opportunity to actually compete. You don't need a top 10 payroll to win a World Series. The argument is not that there's different teams winning World Series. The argument is there's only one type of team that can win a World Series. That's the problem. So I already don't like argument number one from the players. Argument number two, small payroll teams win consistently. What does that mean? They say the Brewers, the Guardians, and the Rays, they can win. They win games. What's the problem?
The Rays played in a minor league ballpark last year.
Give me a break. Players, I'm telling you, man, if you want a little bit extra support, you got to give me something more than this. I'm already like rolling my eyes at the two biggest arguments against what the owners are saying.
But let's just dive into each of those teams here for a quick second.
The Brewers, known for not spending money, they've been sneaky these last couple of years, but that has not been
the history of the franchise.
The Guardians consistently win in the most irrelevant division in baseball and always find themselves in the playoffs, partly because every division has to have somebody in the playoffs. And the Rays didn't even play in a minor league ballpark last year. They played in a spring training facility last year and have one good season because they're too busy being the minor league system for every other team.
And what all those teams have in common?
Small markets.
They also have not won a World Series in a long time.
Yes.
Or have been even close. The Rays have made it to a couple World Series, and what happened?
The last one was what, 2009?
Well, they went in 2020 against the Dodgers. The Rays?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. They you know what they ran into?
Okay.
A team that's got way more money than them.
Well, hold on. If we don't count the Dodgers winning the World Series in 2020, we really can't count the Rays, if we're being fair, making it to the World Series.
Right. Well, then that even makes the argument even better. And then the other one on top of that was what, 2010?
Yeah, it was like
when they played the Phillies.
Yeah, it was either
And they
2008 or 2010 or
they
something.
ran into an area that had more resources than them, and they never won. When's the last time the Brewers won a World Series? When they were in the American League? Have they ever won a World Series?
I don't think they have. If
and I know the
correctly.
Guardians have the longest drought in Major League Baseball history. The only reason why they're the longest, they've been around longer. A lot of teams haven't even made it.
Yeah, Brewers have never won a World Series.
They've never won a World Series. Guardians haven't won in 50 years plus or whatever. It's been even longer than that. That was like when they played the Cubs.
Getting past 60.
And the Rays have never won. Championship diversity in the other leagues. You're talking about championship diversity in the other leagues. The Kansas City Chiefs have won World Series.
Super Bowls.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Super Bowls. My mistake. I was distracted by the somebody arguing about the Royals. You know the Royals payroll that year was top 10 in baseball? They went out and spent a ton of money in 2015.
I also love this idea. Hey, one team did it, so your entire argument is
And what
invalid.
did they do? They spent a ton of money that year, like an enormous amount of money. And then what happened after that? Everybody left because they couldn't afford to do it anymore. They went all in 2 years in a row, spent way too much money, and then had to tear everything down because they couldn't afford it anymore. Yeah. Oh yeah. Look at all the diversity that they have back in 2014 with all the teams that have won a World Series. Give me a break.
And a lot of those were their good guys that were still under control as well.
And their reward, Erik Hosmer goes somewhere else.
Yeah.
Everybody left. Everybody left.
I think we've got Kevin Vance on here
Yeah,
now.
tell him to call back in 4 minutes. As we're supposed to. So some of the arguments that these people are doing, and here's the only ones really arguing to keep everything the same are the ones that are benefiting from the fact that they have more resources than everybody else. So again, let's keep looking at some of the players' arguments here. Baseball has already been has more championship diversity than the NFL, NBA, and NHL. That's not the argument. The argument is not everybody has a chance at the beginning part of the season. Small payroll teams win consistently, except they don't win World Series. Playoff randomness reduces financial advantage. I think to an extent, I think that should be their number one argument, if you will, Frank. There is some validity to that.
Yes.
There is some validity to that because the Dodgers for like 10, 15 years kept having the highest payroll and could not make it out of the playoffs. They could not make it through the first couple of rounds. A cap limits earning potential, especially for stars. That is also a fallacy. It only limits earning potential for players to be on teams that they pick and they handpick and they want to be on that are going to spend money on other assets. You know what? You know why players, the stars, don't want a salary cap, Frank?
So
Because
they
don't
get
want.
theirs.
They want to get theirs, but they also want to they don't want to be Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow takes all the money in Cincinnati, and his offensive line sucks, and he's on a team that's not very good because who's getting all the money? Joe Burrow's getting all the money. If you want to get all the money, you're not going to be on a good team. That's like the whole point of this. And so when I hear the argument, it limits our earning potential. No, it doesn't. The stars are still going to get paid. But instead of getting a hand pick and be surrounded by stars in LA, where I get to live in California and I get to live in SoCal and I get to be on one of the best teams ever and I get to be surrounded with superstars, you get your ass sent to Pittsburgh because that's the only team that can afford to pay you because all the other big teams spent the money on their stars. This earning potential crap is such BS. What are you talking about? Nothing is limiting you from making tons of money. Juan Soto can still get his deal that he got with the Mets in New York. But the problem is Juan Soto wants to be on a good team. He doesn't want all the money. He doesn't want to have to worry about having everybody else get paid. No, he wants all his money and he wants to be surrounded by stars that make as much as he does. No, that's not how this works. That's not how you make a competitive league. That is the biggest crock out of all of the arguments. The best argument they have is with baseball and the fact that the playoffs are a crapshoot. That kind of hampers some of the finances. You don't necessarily have to spend the most to win. But the reality is it helps them a way more than a team that can't physically do it because they don't have the money. Stop acting like, and here's the thing that I didn't like about this article either. We're going to talk more about this in a little bit because Kevin Vance is going to join us. The whole reality, thinking that the A's and all of these organizations have all the money the Dodgers do, they just refuse to spend it on anything. That's what kills me. That's what kills me. Like they're bringing in all the same levels of revenue that these other teams are, which is not the case because of a TV deal, which actually Jeff Passan brings up a good point later in his article. We're going to talk about that in the 11 o'clock hour because I'm not done talking about this, but we got to take a break. Kevin Vance is going to join us when we come back, preview the Aztec baseball season. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. San Diego State did exactly what a bubble team has to do Saturday night. No drama, no stress. 88-54 blowout at Air Force. That matters because last year in the same building, San Diego State nearly lost a game that would have sunk its tournament chances. This time, a 23-2 run, 22 forced turnovers, 60% shooting, the definition of a professional road win.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially against a team like Air Force, who I believe is 3-20 overall. They're winless in the conference. This is a team that a good team needed to beat and really take care of, and they did just that.
And yet, here's the uncomfortable truth, though. It barely moved the needle. I mean, in the Ken Palm, dropped 2 spots, 43-41. In the net, dropped 1 spot, 44-43. That's the bubble life, and that's something that Brian Dutcher knows, and and that's why the reward wasn't style points. It's a couple of days off because this week, San Diego State will be off until Saturday. And this game against Air Force wasn't about Air Force. This was about surviving the stretch run. Upcoming schedule. Here are the teams that you're going to have coming to Viejas Arena: Nevada, Grand Canyon, Utah State, UNLV. Here are the teams, and you have 2 road games left in these 6 games. New Mexico and Boise State. New Mexico and Boise State are both quad 1 games. Now, if you win out, you're going to be the Mountain West champion. There's not going to be no questions about that. If you go 6-1 with the Utah State win in some of these games, then all of a sudden or 5-1, you're going to be an at-large team, and you probably feel safe in that. Anything less, and welcome back to the stress watching of Selection Sunday.
Yeah, you really have to take care of business. So we talked about it in the last update, is that you've got the schedule reversed now. Nevada, Grand Canyon, Utah State, UNLV, you had them all on the road before. Now they're coming to Viejas Arena. New Mexico, Boise State, I feel them losing one of those games on the road. They really should, though, take care of business against Nevada, Grand Canyon, and UNLV, especially at home. You have to be better against Utah State if you want to take home the Mountain West. Bless you.
Only one quad 1 win so far. 3 chances left. Again, we've mentioned, I think you got to go 2-1. This team has to win every game it's supposed to win, which Dutcher admits is harder than catching a big name on a bad night. That's 100% true because you're everybody's target. Now, for BJ Davis, it was a big bounce back game for him. This game mattered a lot for him more than probably any of the other players. Since missing that front end of the 1-1 at Grand Canyon that led to a Grand Canyon victory, BJ Davis admitted that he got to his own head. Numbers backed it up. 5.5 points per game over the 4 games after that. He has shot 26.7%, 1 for 10 from 3, but then came the position switch. And with LZ Harrington shut down the rest to rest his leg, Davis went from scorer to point guard, and that changes everything. Less shots, more decisions, more pressure, but Saturday felt like a reset. 16 points, 7 of 8 shooting, hit the dagger 3 at the halftime buzzer.
Yeah, especially for BJ Davis. We talk about resets for teams. Also, these lesser games, quote unquote lesser games, are also a very good time for a player, an individual player, to reset, and that's exactly what BJ Davis did against Air Force.
Yeah, Dutcher helped by calling plays for him, but now the question is bigger: can BJ Davis score while running the team? Because San Diego State's ceiling definitely depends on that. They get the bye week, they get the health check. Timing couldn't be better. Bagun Guath is going to get reevaluated. LZ Harrington this week is going to get reevaluated. But as much as Dutcher said they look ready, looks don't matter in February. The team doesn't need some hero ball. They need bodies to help finish out this stretch. Now for women's basketball, a little bit different. While the men are sweating out the metrics, the women just continue to keep hammering people. An 81-52 victory over the weekend at San Jose State. They're now 18-4 overall, 12-1 in conference, and have won 14 of their last 15 games, with 4 being in double figures over on the weekend. 4 players being in double figures. They shot 54%, 18 assists. The team balanced, efficient, and ruthless.
Yeah, absolutely. And a 29-point win is not happening. That's a bludgeoning that they gave to San Jose State. And to be 12-1 in conference, absolutely huge. Also showing they're a very, very good non-conference team as well. Going, what is that, 6-3 in the non-conference. So they're a solid all-around team, the women's Aztecs team.
They're leading the Mountain West in threes made, one of the best assisted turnover teams in school history, projected as a number 12 seed, which avoids a true road game in the NCAA tournament. Coach Stacey Terry Hudson put it perfectly. We're not the hunter anymore. We're hunted, and they're handling it like veterans, even though most of their stars are, in fact, sophomores. Next contest, Wednesday at home, Colorado State, a team that you beat 46-44 on the road without making a single three. It's a different kind of test, but same expectations for the women's basketball team. Now, softball's in action. They started over the weekend. They opened the season with 3 walk-off wins in 4 games, and Jade Ignacio wasted no time becoming a star. She was a freshman and a Mountain West Player of the Week.
Yeah, absolutely. An incredible opening weekend for her. 636 average, a 1.727 OPS, had hits in every game for the Aztec softball team. She was incredible.
Coming up, they got 6 games this weekend. Campbell Cartier Classic, including Baylor and Oregon State. If you want early season juice, that's where it is. Baseball starts this weekend. They're very talent rich, but expectations a little bit poor based on where they came in the media poll, or should I say the coaches poll for the Mountain West, Frank.
Yeah, I mean, it did not look great for them. 7th in the preseason poll in the Mountain West. I mean, that is low for a San Diego State baseball team that's got as much history.
10:36 on a Friday. It is the beginning of college baseball. First pitch was thrown out, I think, at 9 in the morning, maybe even Eastern time. Can't remember. Houston got the college baseball season underway. They're playing a tournament down in Puerto Rico. All 3 of the D1 teams here in town are in action this weekend. Only one of them will be playing games here in San Diego this weekend. USD is on the road. They're taking on Charlotte. UCSD is at number 1 at UCLA, and playing right here in San Diego this weekend against Long Island are the San Diego State Aztecs. And joining me now on the David P. Shapiro fan hotline, David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorneys, helping good people regain control of their future when charged with the crime since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. Joining me now, the head baseball coach in his first year at the helm of the San Diego State Aztecs, Kevin Vance, joins us on the Braden Surprenant Show. Kevin, what's going on, man? I bet you're fired up to get after it and play another team today.
What's up, fellas? Thanks for having me on. For sure. It's always an exciting day, opening day, and we're ready to go. Get this thing going.
I know you met with our afternoon show, a couple of baseball players for the Aztecs, some Aztecs for life with Tony Gwynn Jr. and Chris Ello after you got hired. But for our audience, tell us about the process, why you wanted to be part of this Aztecs baseball program, and what some of your goals were when you have now taken over as head coach of the Aztecs.
Right. Yeah, this has always been honestly a dream job for me, and made my way back, went off to the East Coast and all around the world, really, and made my way back, and couldn't be more grateful for that, and to represent this city and all the people and family and friends that are going to be there tonight. And I'm just really grateful for that. And yeah, it's been a fun 7 months since I've been here. I think number one is just establishing the culture and getting guys to buy into our system, and I think we've done that. So it's we're moving in the right direction, and let's throw the balls out there tonight and see how it goes, one pitch at a time.
Fresh off of a men's College World Series berth as an assistant coach at the U of A, that was probably a great experience for you leading into this season, obviously. But, for you and your career that you have had and being able to, learn from a lot of different entities before getting this job, what are some of the biggest things that you have learned from some of the programs that you've worked for?
Yeah, I started at Rhode Island, smaller school, public school, didn't have it easy and had to figure out how to kind of do everything. And, I was pretty blessed with that opportunity and lucky, and, Boston College, Arizona. And then even before that, I've had a lot of great coaches in my life growing up around here in San Diego. And those are the people that, made me want to coach. I think most coaches, they had good coaches growing up, and the people along the way that hey man, this is a pretty cool job to do. So can't thank those people enough. And I feel like going into this year, never been more prepared, and that's because of all the experiences, good and bad. And that's the type of stuff we talk to our players about. Your experience, it makes you who you are, and whether you strike out or hit a home run, it's the same thing in life. And that's what this is really all about to me. It's not about the baseball. It's about the players and teaching them about life and using baseball to do that. It's I think the best way to teach. It's a mean game, and you can do everything right and still get out. So, and it's the same in life. And so those are the things that I've really learned through great coaches. Is it's the X's and O's are the X's and O's, but it's about the journey. It's about the process and the experience and enjoying it together as a team. And that's the stuff you remember. The airport ride, the airport bus rides, and just being with the boys and enjoying that.
We're talking with Kevin Vance. He is the head baseball coach at San Diego State in his first year, getting ready to take on Long Island this weekend. It is opening day for college baseball throughout the country. Obviously, very exciting times for you, Kevin. And as I've noticed from a lot of programs around town, working at the University of San Diego, a lot of the programs that have a lot of success are the ones that are coached by local products. And you're from here. Obviously, you've mentioned that a couple of times. You went to Torrey Pines High School. But for everybody out there in the city that might not know your name, I mean, talk to us a little bit about your upbringing here in San Diego and some of the things that are relatable to our audience of being a San Diego kid and how much pride you have in representing the city of San Diego by coaching at San Diego State.
No doubt. I grew up in Solana Beach. My parents are from here. We grew up in National City. And so, yeah, I've kind of been to every corner of San Diego for my whole life. And, in high school and leaving here for about 16 years after that was a great experience for me. And, kind of, I think like everybody realized doesn't get much better than this, being around here, and not just the weather, but the people. And, I played in Tony Gwynn Stadium in CIF championship game as a junior in high school. And so it's always been kind of the Mecca for me as a kid growing up of, all right, this is college baseball. This is Tony Gwynn, right? My childhood idol. And so that's really the cool part. And being around Steven Strasburg, who's here, just San Diego legends and proud San Diegans. There's a lot of them out there, and it's been fun to kind of cultivate those relationships and, eat some California burritos again. The whole thing, it's been it's a blessing. And, that going into opening day, that's really, what I feel, is people ask, are you nervous for opening day? And it's like, no, I'm more emotional than anything, just because I'm so proud of where I've come from and that's here. And to be back, it means the world to me and to my family. So, it's America's finest city, and couldn't be more proud to represent it and honored to do that at a place like this with so many legends. I'm out on the field right now looking at Tony's picture up on the wall, and it's pretty cool to be in the same shoes that he was.
We're going to ask a couple of. I got a burrito question for you later on in the interview. We have to ask every local product that rolls through here. We have tons of San Diegans that are in MLB that have been on the show that have to talk about it. Soccer players, you name it. So we're going to get that to a second. But you mentioned Tony Gwynn. We talked about it with Brock Ungrich yesterday, who's at the University of San Diego. Their program has played a lot of what Tony has taught Brock, because he played for Tony at San Diego State. Mm-hmm. I know you're carrying on the legacy as well. And speaking of legacy, we got the Tony Gwynn Legacy Tournament next week. How important is it for you and Brock and Erik Newman over at UCSD to really put this thing on for the legacy of Tony Gwynn? And what are some of the benefit, or should I say, how exciting is it for you to be able to put this tournament on and to be, collective with the other programs here in San Diego?
Yeah, it's been awesome. Brock and Coach Newman have been great in terms of, they share the same sentiment as I do, and the importance of honoring Tony's legacy. And, it's as crosstown rivals, it's kind of a common place that we can all come together and honor Tony, which is super cool. And, those guys have been nothing but great to me, welcoming me here and, helping me out. It's my first year, and those guys have been head coaches for a lot longer than I have. And so it's been pretty special. And when we strap it up against each other, we'll go to war. But, the baseball community here, we got to stick together, and, rising tide raises all ships. So we're at the end of the day, if we're all good, it's good for baseball, and it's good for all of us. So in the name of Tony, I think is, that's the best way to do it. And I'm excited to get all those teams to come in and have a bunch of baseball going on in San Diego for, kids like me who used to love going to college baseball games. There's going to be, 2 of them a day pretty much going on at all 3 of our fields. And that's the important part of the Tony Gwynn legacy is, let's get the community out to watch some baseball and honor Tony.
Real quick, Kevin, as we talk with Kevin Vance, who is the head baseball coach at San Diego State, let's meet some of the Aztecs that fans are going to go check out this weekend against Long Island, who they're expected to see here in 2026 for the Aztec baseball season. Who are some of the players that fans of San Diego State should keep an eye out for?
Yeah. Well, we got a brand new team for the most part, 19 transfers and 12 returning players. So bunch of new faces. We're going to have a bunch of talented arms. We got Ron Leto on the mound tonight. And in the next 2 days, we'll have, 3 power righties that are going to be pretty fun to watch. And, we got the stuff for sure. And guys that don't have a lot of experience, but we got to get them out there and get their feet wet, throw them into the fire and go compete and just keep getting better and better throughout the year. But I think we'll have a really good defense up the middle. Javen Trotsky will be our shortstop. He's kind of a phenom with the glove. He's fun to watch with his counterpart, Dawson Santana at second. They're going to play the game hard and have some tough at bats. I think we got some juice in the middle of the lineup. Jake Jackson, Tice Peterson, Zach Justice. Those are our big boppers in the middle. So it'll be a pretty fun team to watch. Some scrappy little guys and some big dudes with some talented arms. So, we still got to play the games, but I think we got a lot of talent.
Should be a fun time. Sounds like you guys made a lot of improvements at Tony Gwynn Stadium. I know you guys had your dinner on the ballpark the other night, with Tony Gwynn Jr. out there as well. But for a lot of people who haven't been to San Diego State and haven't been to Tony Gwynn Stadium in a while, what are they in store for when they show up this weekend?
Well, we got a brand new outfield wall that has pads on it now. It's not the old sheet metal. So a little safer and looks way nicer. Got the Aztec calendar on it and, kind of similar to the Aztec football helmet. Pretty cool design. And then, we got a lot more plans in the future for sure. Expanding our hitting facility, getting a new locker room and kind of touching the place up and, into something that's, again, worthy of Tony Gwynn. It's in 97, it was the best baseball stadium in the country. And we haven't done much since then. And so that's the exciting part is we have the bones and we have the venue, the palm trees and the sunset here doesn't get any better. And so we just got to spruce it up a little bit and we got big plans for that, but got to win some ball games first.
All right, last thing for you, Kevin, because I know you got to get ready for opening day, and it's I think a lot of people are fired up for you to take the helm with the way that you answered a lot of those questions about how important this job is for you as a San Diego kid. But as we've talked to a lot of San Diego kids who have gone on to done a lot of great things like yourself that have done things elsewhere, I usually ask the question, what do you have food-wise when you come back to San Diego? It sounds like you already answered that with the California burrito, but we had a debate on the show. about what goes in a California burrito. So your ideal California burrito, obviously with the fries, but you got to, tell me what else is in it. And then where's your go-to burrito spot in town?
Well, the only way to have it is with the carne asada, French fries, cheese, pico, and sour cream. Maybe some guac if you're feeling frisky. But my number one spot is Rudy's Taco Shop in Solana Beach, right there in Eden Gardens. So if you haven't had it, get out there and try Rudy's. Free shout out to Rudy's there.
I'm gonna have to go try it, Kevin. Appreciate you taking the time, man. Good luck this weekend, it's Long Island. I will see you next Sunday when the Toreros come in as part of the Tony Gwynn legacy. Look forward to meeting you then.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys. Go Aztecs.
Kevin Vance joining us on the David P. Shapiro fan hotline. You could tell just by the way that he answered a lot of those questions. This job is important to him, and representing San Diego is important to him, and carrying on Tony Gwynn's legacy is very, very important for him, which is great. That's what you want to hear out of your coaches here in San Diego. That's what you want to hear. You want to hear that. You want to hear how you could hear. He was getting emotional talking to us about what it's going to be like being in his hometown, leading one of the Division I colleges here in town, and looking at a picture of Tony that's out there on the wall out there. And I'm so glad that they fixed all that stuff, because that stadium was falling apart, and it was a disgrace to Tony Gwynn how they let that place go. And I'm glad Kevin Vance and the alumni are putting the resources into making that stadium as nice as it is. But you could tell the passion he has for the city. You could tell the passion he has for San Diego State and living on Tony Gwynn's legacy over there. It matters to him. And I think San Diego State baseball is in a really good spot right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And to go back to the stadium, I remember hanging banners out there on the outfield wall, and I was stunned that I was screwing banners into a sheet metal wall. I was stunned by that. And you could see how out of disrepair that wall was. So I'm very, very happy to see that place getting spruced up as it should be to honor its namesake. I'm very excited. I have a very good feeling I'll probably find myself out there at some point this weekend to see San Diego State take on Long Island. If not, I'm definitely going to be there over the course of the season. Again, we're at the point where we're excited for baseball, and we're getting some baseball now.
We already got our first final score in college baseball. Houston knocks down number 21 Wake Forest 8-2 down in Puerto Rico.
They were not Rake Forest this
No, they did not
morning.
rake. They were Wake Forest, not Rake Forest. I will say, if they haven't put that on a tweet yet when they hammer the ball, that's a mistake on their social media department.
Again, we'll give that to them for free.
Yeah, you're welcome. San Diego State's got Long Island this weekend. They're going to be at Irvine on Tuesday. And then for the Tony Gwynn legacy, not only are the Aztecs playing at home, but also there's going to be other games going on. Omaha and BYU will be playing on February 19th at 6 o'clock Pacific time. And then the Aztecs will take on BYU on February 20th, take on Utah on February 21st. You got Creighton in Utah February 22nd in the morning. And then they're going to play USD Sunday afternoon on February 22nd. And then they go up to UCLA for a Tuesday before going up to Washington for a 4-game series in the first weekend of March. So a lot of great baseball getting played here in San Diego. A lot of great college baseball. It's going to be on not only at Tony Gwynn Stadium for the Aztecs, but Fowler Park for USD and Triton Ballpark over there in the La Jolla area for UCSD. We're trying to get Eric Newman on. We're going to try to get him on next week to preview the Triton season as well. But you could just tell the way that he talked about Tony Gwynn that it's the right move for San Diego State. And I know, and Tony Gwynn Jr.'s talked about him already before with us in passing. But you talk about the stadium, and I hope they cleaned up the press box and stuff too. I mean, I remember going. I've called a couple of games there, and you go inside, and like all of Tony's old video equipment from like the early 2000s are in there collecting. We're in there collecting dust. It looked like Jurassic Park when they went back for the second movie and everything was just all dilapidated. That's what it looked like. It was sad. It was like, why are we not upgrading the stadium with the namesake that it has?
I would have kept the film equipment in there though, because that's something that would be cool to see. Just to see all the
old monitors. I mean, there's so many old monitors.
That would be cool to see though. Like
At least
I understand.
Clean it.
Yeah,
they should have put it. They should have made it like a. They should have made it like a display.
Yeah, make it like a museum exhibit. Yeah. Exactly. Make his office like a museum exhibit.
Except that was in the press box. All the video stuff. It was. Oh my god! It was just terrible. Hopefully the fence looks beautiful. They got the new video board a couple of years ago. The fence. I don't think they're going to let anybody on Raggers Rail anymore, but you know what? I digress with that. Let's continue the conversation, the 11 o'clock hour, on what Jeff Passan said, where we are with the labor negotiations. Hour in, 3 to go. Hour 2 of the Braden Surprenant Show on a Friday. We're broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. We're going to get that clip up for you on YouTube. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to our YouTube page. We're up to 691 now. We're trying to get to 1,000. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers on the Braden Surprenant Show page. We have a lot of content on there. And I mean a lot of content. Frank and I crank out a ton of content onto the YouTube channel at B_SURP. You can find us there. YouTube.com/@B_SURP. If you haven't done so, you can watch all of our videos up there. We have our interview with Brock Ungrich on there. We are putting up our interview with Vance, with Kevin Vance up there as well. We have updates on the Aztecs, the Tritons, the Toreros. Some of you have already noticed our goals content once a week that we're putting up, as we do like a little mini podcast on the goals every week. High school sports, the motorsports getting a lot of traction on there as well. But
see what you did there.
Yep,
Motorsports, traction,
tires.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We got pro sports on there also. We got the NHL updates. We got NBA updates. We got the Padres news and some of our segments. That's all on the Braden Surprenant Show page on YouTube at B_SURP. If you go to 97.3 The Fan, if you search 97.3 The Fan on YouTube and you find the 97.3 The Fan page on YouTube, it will show our shows, and it's super easy. You could subscribe there as well. It will say Ben and Woods, and then underneath it, there's a button that says subscribe. Subscribe to Ben and Woods. It's free. Same thing with the Braden Surprenant Show page. It will say subscribe. Gwyn and Chris is on there. Sam Levitt's on there. Matt Scraby's on there. You can subscribe to our individual channels where we have even more content on top of the fact that you already should be subscribing to 97.3 The Fan and 97.3 The Fan's page on YouTube. I am. It makes it easier when I go on YouTube and I go on the app. It's super simple. I literally hit subscriptions on the bottom right, and then all the videos from the places that I subscribe to pop up immediately. So you don't have to go searching for us anymore. You don't have to search for 97 through the fan. It's super easy. It's free to do. We highly recommend it for all the content that we put out there. You could also follow us on social media at B_SURP, at BSURP. You can follow Frank at FMarks324, Marks with a Z, on social media as well, plus the show page at B_SURP show, where we post all of our content as well. So be sure to do that. We really appreciate you guys doing that. Or we're trying to grow the show. We're trying to get out to as many people as possible. There's a lot of people that don't even realize that we're on. I mean, we had a guy, I play Ultimate Frisbee on Saturdays. It's like we do our own little version of it. And one of the guys I play with had no idea. I don't even know if he knew that we did a show. One of the people that works for him was in the chat the other day and goes like, "Oh yeah, Mike just came in and said, 'What are you doing?'" I'm like, "Well, I'm watching I had the radio show on," and it's like, "Oh, I'd play Frisbee with that guy." I mean, that's a lot of people in my life don't even know that I do this for a living. So we're trying to grow the show as much as we can.
In some ways, that's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. I'm not like walking around telling everybody. Plus, it's also the radio. So unless you're watching on YouTube, people don't know what I look like. Which, you know what, is I'm okay with that for the most part. You'd have to see my face on YouTube for that to be the case. Sneak in, sneak out. The things that the dead giveaway though is the Surprenant last name is pretty much a dead giveaway for the 8 of us or 10 of us that are in San Diego. Because I get those stories all the time. My poor cousins all the time. Because they say their name differently than we do. They go super not. We go by Surprenant, slightly different. But my cousin Daryl was complaining about that last Thanksgiving. I'm so tired. He's like, I'm so tired of asking if I'm related to the guy on the radio. I'm just so tired of it. Sorry, Daryl. Sorry, man. By the way, I have fouls to hand out.
I saw one of them in the chat.
That's not even the fouls I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. Well,
he draws the foul.
Chat foul.
Okay, chat foul.
We can't say it on air.
Okay, there's a foul on Drake Hills.
Uh-oh.
For last night.
He draws the foul.
I set up a perfect play for him last night on the women's basketball broadcast of USD Gonzaga. He's like, I see what you did there. You tried to set up the 6-7. And I'm like, no, that's not foul immediately. So Drake gets his foul. And then also, and I know he's watching because he's already texted us, Tim Day gets a foul.
He draws the foul.
Tim Day gets a foul. And Tim Day gets a foul because he is our producer over there at USD.
Yes.
The dad jokes he was telling us.
Oh, no.
In the intercoms during breaks. He told us 3.
Oh, God.
One of them was funny. And I forget the second one that was kind of weak. And then the third one was like, okay, all right. Tim Day, it's foul time. He gets the foul. How about this? He
started strong, though, at least.
He added this. I thought this one was funny. How do you stop Canadian bacon from curling in the pan?
I don't know.
Take away their little brooms. Foul.
Okay, no, that was the good one. Genuinely a good one.
That was the good one, but that's still dad jokes automatic foul.
He draws the foul.
It's all ball bearings these days. I might have to just start throwing in more Fletch quotes for you to push button-wise on the deal. Buenos dias, Pup and Taco. Have you ever heard of Pup and Taco?
No.
Anybody out there driving around remember the name? They were gone before I was born. But in the movie in the movie Fletch, Chevy Chase is walking through, and there was a lady speaking Spanish, and she said Buenos dias, and so he responded with Pup and Taco because he didn't know any Spanish, so he just said the Mexican food restaurant at the time. It was a privately owned chain of fast food restaurants in SoCal. The chain's headquarters were located in Long Beach, and they would serve like tacos and hot dogs. Therefore, Pup and Taco. The menu consisted of tacos, tostadas, pastrami sandwiches, burgers, several varieties of hot dogs. That was the Pup and Taco. And French fries. Their sodas were RC Cola, root beer, and a variety of flavored slushies. They got to 50 locations, got up to 62 locations, and I wonder what happened to them. I was like, what happened? 99 stores in California were bought by Taco Bell in 1984. They just basically turned all into Taco Bell. And they looked like they all had the A-frame kind of building, almost like a Wiener Schnitzel. I look into this. I thought it was interesting. I was like, because I'm listening. I'm like, you know what sounds good? You know what? A taco, and a hot dog on the way home from this game? Bring it back. Pup and Taco. Bring it back. That's like the most popular it got in the pop culture was in the movie Fletch. Buenos dias, Pup and Taco. All right. Juan gives me a foul for bringing up Fletch. Fine. Go ahead.
He draws the foul.
Which is also bringing up Fletch. So in reality, it's a foul against Juan in the chat.
So we got.
He draws the foul.
So we got 2 chat fouls now.
Yeah. 3 away.
Exactly.
Unless you're doing the NBA, then it's 4 away. All right. Let's get back to the conversation from Jeff Passan. Okay. And again with the Jeff Passan deal. So we talked about the Dodger effect. We've talked about the owner's position and talked about the player's position. I know you were on the phone with Kevin Vance during a couple of those moments, but
yes.
I didn't think any of the player's position has too much weight to stand on, with the exception of the playoff randomness reduces financial advantage. That's really the only argument that they have against the salary cap. And by the way, you can't put in a cap without a floor. So everybody that's like, just for the, or I want a cap and a floor. I want a range that you have to spend in order to build your team.
I don't, but I mean, the randomness, there's just a randomness to a playoff, though, like a genuine playoff.
Baseball's a little bit,
it's,
but baseball's a little bit more. There's a lot of weird things that happen in baseball, a little bit more than football, a little bit more than the NBA, a little bit more than hockey.
No, I wouldn't say hockey, because we see the 8 beat the 1 all the time in hockey. Like that's a genuine thing that always happens. The 8 beats the 1 in the inning.
Yeah, but baseball is all based on like who's pitching that day. And like weird things happen in baseball, and the game's built on failure more than hockey is. I mean, it's a. You heard from. We keep bringing this up. It was the conversation from Eno Saris when he was on with Ben and Woods about how many games you would have to play to actually crown a baseball champion, like statistically, for it to work out. It's like you have to play a best of 128 games or whatever. Best of 129. Because you can't have an even number, obviously. But like you have to best of 129 per round. That would be the only way that you would be able to crown a world champion. By those odds, I would say that the playoff randomness, they have a point with the playoff randomness and the money. But aside from that, like the last one we talked about, you didn't really get to discuss this too much, was the argument about a cap limits earning potential. It doesn't limit earning potential.
No, it
limits earning potential and also being competitive.
Yeah.
That's the difference. And it limits your ability to really pick wherever you want to pick to play, regardless of what their situation is. And I've brought that up multiple times. It's not like you're not going to get paid. You're just not going to be surrounded by guys like you who are also getting paid. That's the reality of it. Oh, Gonzo got the first foul?
Yeah, Gonzo was the first foul. Like I said, I can't say it.
That's fine. So from that, in the player's position, their perspective is, why would they agree to cap salaries when Ohtani and Soto just shattered market records, 9 players signed 9-figure deals this winter, and league revenues exceed $12 billion annually? Players see a cap as owners protecting profits, not fairness. I think that's the case if you're really just in tune with yourself and you view it from a lens of just yourself, Frank.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get on board with a lot of their arguments. I'd be willing to listen to arguments against the salary cap, but right now, the ones that they're bringing up are nonsensical. They're really nonsensical.
No, it's guys. It's the 1% trying to keep their money effectively.
Right.
They're trying to do both. They're trying to have their cake and eat it too,
as we say. I mean, it makes
the bottom line is, if you're a player looking to keep away from the salary cap, the question then becomes, what is your main goal here? Are you looking to benefit yourself, or are you looking to benefit the sport as a whole? And most of these players, if you're against the salary cap, I'm sorry, but you're looking out for number one. You're looking out for yourself. You're not looking out for the sport as a whole.
Right.
You fight for these guys who are in the minor leagues and for veteran minimums and league minimums and stuff like that. You fight for that, so this way you end up making more money as well, because that means your prices are going up. Because you're paying more, you fight for them. It looks good, but it's really not. You're fighting for your own earning potential, which, listen, I fight for my own earning potential here. I want to make the most that I possibly can.
Just like everybody else does.
Exactly. But there is a budget here that what I want may not fit into. So there's going to have to be a compromise.
At every place.
Exactly.
At every place.
So, I mean,
there's repercussions for spending a lot of money on one player,
100%.
right? And the repercussions for that in professional sports are you don't have the money for other things. But we've spent too much time on that particular part. That's just kind of the recap of what we talked about in the 10 o'clock hour. But the hard truth about a cap. Now, this is, again, I don't necessarily buy this either, but they have done the studies. Even if a cap is installed that requires a ceiling and a floor, yeah, sounds good. I'm not against that.
Yeah, exactly.
They make it sound like that's a problem. Forcing low-spending teams to spend more. I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good. Limiting high-spending teams from spending freely. I'm in. Sounds great. Example scenario that they use, that Jeff Passan used, $280 million hard cap, $150 million hard floor. Sounds good. I mean, you could probably tweak it a little bit, but you know what? At least at that point, you got to get a lot of teams up to compliance. And you know what? It opens the door. It limits some of the teams from spending enormous amounts of money on players.
Yeah, I'm in agreement 100% with that. That actually,
The fact that they would even go up to a 150 hard floor, I mean, that's big. I would take that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams that are not in compliance with 150 million
Yeah.
hard floor, right? And if that's the case, you know, the Padres don't want to go over a certain limit because they have made the luxury tax thresholds ridiculous. And the fact of the matter is teams can buy their way out of the penalty, whereas with the salary cap and limiting what you're able to do spending on players, that would limit your ability to add. I mean, the Dodgers just blow through the luxury tax. They don't care.
Exactly.
But the Padres can't do that. And the luxury tax thresholds are 244, 264, 284, 304. I bet you if there was no luxury tax penalties, the Padres would probably increase their payroll a little bit more.
I would agree with that.
They would probably be close to the cap.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're not. Who knows? But with every threshold they get to is all these extra punishments that they don't want to pay for because they can't afford to be paying other teams on top of trying to fill their own roster. So the luxury tax is dumb in a sense. But that cap and floor is great because here's the thing. You start looking at these teams that need to get in compliance. Like the Brewers need to spend an extra $30 million to get in compliance right now. Miami needs to spend another $80 million to get into compliance. I mean, you start looking at some of these teams and the players that are available, all of a sudden, what's happening? Good players are going to these teams. It starts spreading out the talent. But the problem, again, is the top echelon guys don't want to play in Miami. They want to play for a team that's already loaded. And that's where you run into the problem. So the other hard truth about the cap, as Passan puts out, big spenders hate the restriction.
Too bad.
Of course they do, because they have a loophole to being better than everybody else. Small market teams hate forced spending. Too bad. Too bad. Don't own the team then. It sounds like you don't have enough money to own the team. Competitive gap still exists. You know what? The competitive gap exists, but at least everybody's playing by the same rules. And if you are incompetent as an organization to use said rules as everybody else and still can't perform, it's not a money issue anymore. It's a skill issue.
Yeah,
that's where you need it to be. Again, I'm still running into, I can't find the arguments about not having a cap.
Yeah, no, when you're talking about big spenders hating restrictions and small,
we've hit sad violin hours. We've hit sorry, too bad for you. I mean, our bad. Sell the team, get rid of it, and suck it up.
Yeah, competitive gap still exists. Well, you know what? There's still a competitive gap in the NFL, and they all play by the same rules. Why? Because organizations do dumb things.
And by the way,
the Cleveland Browns exist. But here's the difference. The reason why the Cowboys can't win is not a money issue. It's a skill issue. They're all playing by the same rules. But now if you open up the books or if you open up the limits, Cowboys could buy their way out of every problem. They'd be good all the time for being bad at business.
Mm-hmm.
And if they weren't, you'd be like, all right, well, they're just really stupid. You can't find, I'm telling you. Studies suggest there's no proven link between salary caps and true competitive balance. Give me a break. Give me a break. We got to take a break. Speaking of giving me a break, the real solution, though, I agree with Jeff Passan. The real solution when we come back. Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's number one sports station, 97 through the Fan. Well, it's another college update, and that means more realignment news when we talk about our updates here on the Braden Surprenant Show. The focus this week, realignment. Mountain West, North Dakota State decided to jump. College football realignment keeps finding new ways to surprise you, and this one matters. North Dakota State, the undisputed powerhouse of the FCS, has officially finalized its move to the Mountain West in football only starting in 2026. And this isn't a casual step up. It's a calculated, expensive, and bold play. The Bison are paying $12.5 million to join the Mountain West Conference, plus another $5 million to the NCAA to move from the FCS to the FBS. That's real money, especially for a school with under 10,000 undergrads in Fargo, North Dakota. But North Dakota State isn't guessing here. They're betting on who they already are. This is a program that has won 10 of the last 15 FCS national championships, including the 2024 title under first-year head coach Tim Pulisic. In fact, their last 4 head coaches have all won national championships. That kind of institutional consistency doesn't happen by accident.
No, it absolutely does not. And to pay $17.5 million to both the Mountain West and the NCAA is a huge step, and not one that you're going to make without being absolutely sure that you can hang at this level. And we saw Delaware and Missouri State. They moved up from FCS to FBS this past season. They were able to hang. I believe both of them made college football, made bowl games this past year, and North Dakota State was better than both of them. So we'll see what North Dakota State can do, especially in what's now going to be a quote unquote weakened Mountain West with a lot of the competition going to the Pac-12.
And I think they look at James Madison making the college football playoff.
Yeah.
And they're like, we could do that. We
Absolutely.
were better than them for most of the time, except for the fact when they had Kurt Signetti, that was basically it. But, why did the Mountain West do this? Well, let's be honest. This move isn't just about North Dakota State climbing up. It's about the Mountain West trying to stabilize itself. I mean, they lost Boise State, San Diego State, Fresno State, Colorado State, and Utah State to the Pac-12. That's a massive hit to brand power, TV appeal, and football credibility. So what does the Mountain West need right now? A program that wins, a fan base that shows up, and a brand that still means something nationally. And North Dakota State checks all 3 of those boxes.
Yeah, it absolutely does. I mean, as you mentioned before, 10 of the last 15 FCS national championships. The stadium gets absolutely mental if you have
Fargo Dome.
If you have not seen the insanity that happens in the Fargo Dome, you're in for a treat. And yeah, because they've been so competitive on the FCS stage, they do mean something nationally. It's one of the more imported teams in NCAA football, the video game, to bring them in. So I mean, they are very, very relevant. Just because they're an FCS team doesn't mean they're not relevant. This is a very, very good get for the Mountain West Conference.
Mountain West Commissioner Gloria Navarez called it a championship mindset, and that's not a spin. This is the Mountain West saying, if we can't outspend the power leagues, we'll out-identify programs that know how to win. Now the reality check for North Dakota State. It won't be easy. And I mean, North Dakota State will play a full Mountain West schedule in 2026, but won't be eligible for conference title, bowls, or the college football playoff until at least 2028, and won't receive full conference or college football playoff revenue until 2032. So they're going to have to find a way to get more scholarships. They're going to have to get larger recruiting budgets. They're going to have to get bigger travel operations, and they're going to have to expand staff support. And that's a major leap financially and logistically. You talk about all the money that they have to pay to make this thing happen. Add the money that you have to do to just accomplish all the things that we just said for them to be competitive in the Mountain West.
And just to be, not just to be competitive in the Mountain West, to be competitive in college football, because we saw the report a couple of weeks ago about Rutgers being $500 million $500 million, sorry, in the hole as far as how much their athletic programs. Penn State, a big school like Penn State, is also in that couple $100 million financial hole as well, just trying to stay competitive in Division I college football, both of them Big Ten schools. So yeah, this is a huge leap of faith for North Dakota State to make this jump.
North Dakota State believes its culture, physical style, and development model will translate. And in a state with no pro sports, the Bison don't compete for attention. They are, in fact, the show. I mean, but you look at the Mountain West now. I mean, they're all over the place, and a lot of places don't necessarily have mountains. UTEP does, but they have UTEP in the conference now. Northern Illinois, North Dakota State, Hawaii, all 4 of those schools are in the same conference.
Yeah.
That is a massive scale for the Mountain West and their footprint. Now, what does this mean for college football? This move says something important about where the sport is going. Winning still matters, brands still matter, but sustainable culture matters more than ever outside the power leagues.
Yeah, absolutely. North Dakota State is not chasing exposure. They're chasing.
How about this for a matchup? We got college baseball today, right?
Yes.
I'm going to get to that in a second. All guests on 97 to the Fan join us on the David P. Shapiro Fan Hotline. David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorneys helping good people regain control of their future when charged with the crime since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. You have Manhattan playing Indiana State. Why is that a great matchup?
Which Manhattan?
Manhattan?
Well, no, there's a Manhattan in... Oh, it's the Jaspers?
The Jaspers. You have the Jaspers taking on the Sycamores in Terre Haute. Actually, they're not in Terre Haute. They're in the Puerto Rico Challenge. The Jaspers and the Sycamores. Sycamores have a 3-2 lead in the top of the fourth inning. Jaspers and the Sycamores. This is why you got to love... This is why you love college sports. They got the great nicknames.
Got the Stony Brook Seawolves taking on Arkansas State right now.
I saw that. Iona, the Gales, playing Radford right now, top of the second. UMass Lowell playing Morehead State. I mean, I can go on and on and on. The Bonnies of St. Bonaventure playing at UNC Asheville today. They're in top of the second inning.
All right, so I'll put this up on the TV. So as far as what I can see,
San Diego and Charlotte will start at 1 today, by the way.
Okay.
That's the first game of the D1 schools here in town that play baseball. Do you want to? I'll do it.
No, I'll put it up on the... Oh, sorry. My bad.
I mean, the graphics cool. Don't get me wrong.
So we've got, of the games that are on right now, we've got Michigan State, number 8, Louisville.
Is this on ESPN Plus or something?
Yes.
Okay.
Delaware State versus VMI. Northern Kentucky.
VMI's up 9-0 right now, so out.
Northern Kentucky, the Norse versus South Carolina.
Scoreless in the top of the fifth.
Monmouth versus Richmond.
Monmouth. Is that New Jersey?
I believe so. It's in that.
They're up 3-0 on the Richmond Spiders in the top of the fifth.
Holy Cross versus VCU.
Tied at 1, bottom 5.
Valparaiso versus Gardner-Webb.
Wow. Valpo, Gardner-Webb. The Fighting Mason Millers playing Valpo.
Stony Brook versus Arkansas State.
That's a 2-1 lead for Valpo, by the way. Stony Brook and who?
Arkansas State.
Yeah, we talked about that. It's 2-0 Arkansas State.
Quinnipiac versus Old Dominion.
No, thank you.
Which one of those would you like to watch?
Oklahoma, Texas Tech. Oklahoma's up 3-1, bottom 7, but that's on Flow Sports.
That wasn't one of the options.
I know, because it's on Flow Sports for like $1,000. Whatever the Flow Sports thing is. Just at 1 o'clock, we need the Toreros and the 49ers.
That's fine by me.
Aztecs will play tonight. Again, I can't watch TCU Vanderbilt at 1 o'clock because that's on Flow Sports. 18 in the country, Vanderbilt, 10 in the country, TCU. Delaware State and VMI are playing a doubleheader today, so it's BYU and West Kentucky. There's probably a handful of those. Oh, wow. Washington State, Alabama. That's a good one. Aztecs play tonight at, my guess would be 6. Yeah, they play at 6 against Long Island, and I'm pretty sure UCSD, they play at 5 at Jackie Robinson Stadium against UCLA. There's your college baseball update for the day. No, I did not. All right, let's get to the other portion here. This is the part of this article, and we've taken a long time on this, but it's the trending story in baseball right now. We talked about what the owners are saying in their position. We've talked about the Dodger effect on the labor negotiations. We've talked about the players' position. We've talked about the hard truth about a cap, which I honestly don't really think has that much validity to it. But the thing that we haven't talked about yet, and the thing where I agree with Jeff Passan the most, and the real solution to a lot of these problems, do you know what I'm talking about, Frank? TV money.
Oh, God.
Commissioner Rob Manfred's long-term vision. I can't, honestly, as much as I like to get on Rob Manfred, this is a big reason why there's so much disparity between teams in Major League Baseball. Now, I think you need to have a salary cap, salary floor, and you got to figure out the TV contract. I think it's all three that's going to really help with baseball. But Commissioner Rob Manfred's long-term vision, nationalize all MLB TV rights. Bundle local and national deals, sell entire inventory to streaming giants. If Amazon, Netflix, Apple, CBS, ESPN, etc. bid aggressively, revenue stabilizes, revenue sharing improves, lower revenue teams gain leverage, maybe labor peace is preserved. One team president said, the only reason I'm confident we're not going to miss games is because of what TV can do for us. I think that's the third element as part of this deal. You have to have a universal TV deal. What works for the NFL, Frank? A salary cap. You have to spend a certain amount of money at the bottom, too. It's not a hard floor, but you do have to spend a certain amount of money. And what do they have?
Universal television contract.
Universal television deal. Major League, and you know what Major League Baseball's doing? Racking up a lot of local deals right now. So the only thing that's going to hold them back on that, the Dodgers, the Mets, the Yankees, the Red Sox, the handful of teams that still have very lucrative and controlling local TV deals. But at the same time, I think that's another piece of the equation that needs to be fixed. And the complaints from those teams are going to be addressed with the world's smallest violin again.
Mm-hmm.
Play it.
Get back to it.
There it is. I'm sorry that you have to give up your lucrative TV deal, but we're trying to do what's better for baseball. And what's better for baseball is a salary cap, a salary floor, and a universal TV deal. Sounds pretty simple to me. I mean, it just doesn't, based on everything that's been laid out in this deal, I really don't have too many arguments against those three things in particular, Frank. I think those three things are perfect for Major League Baseball, and I think Jeff Passan really hits the nail on the head when it comes to the localized or the nationalized TV contract, because the salary cap and the salary floor, he tries to poke holes in it, and I can't find a legitimate argument against the salary cap and a salary floor, and I honestly can't find a legitimate argument against a universal TV deal aside from certain teams being selfish. It's the same thing with the Central TV. It's the same thing with Notre Dame not joining a conference.
Yeah.
Well, we make all this money. Well, you know what? Tough S.
That's
If
cool.
you want to play in this league, you're going to have to give that up.
I mean, the Dodgers have gotten away with their television rights thing for so long. I think
and they get to continue it until 2038 unless something happens here.
Yeah, they've gotten the benefit of that for so long. It's you're welcome, first of all. And there's also nothing to say that these teams cannot keep. Like, the Mets can keep SNY, the Mets can keep the S Network. I'm sure they can work out deals to where you can still show something on there. And of course, they have all their shows. They're not just blank right now. But I mean, there's got to be something done to where you're showing games on a national level. And like, so many people have been yelling at Rob Manfred over the years, get rid of blackouts. I think that's a great start, is to get rid of local blackouts to where you don't have to buy MLB.TV to watch the whole league and then have to pay an extra $20 on top of that for Padres.TV. Just make it to where it's all one thing.
Yeah, there's no blackouts with Red Zone, right? It's
exactly.
like that you could buy your way out of the blackouts in the NFL, and in Major League Baseball, you have to jump through all these hoops in order to do that.
Yeah, it's a double paywall, a triple paywall.
Well, even then, like if you
ESPN.
buy, you buy MLB.TV, it's like, well, now with the local media, it's slightly different. But yeah, what MLB.TV should be simple. You pay for. Here's the one fee that you pay. You get all the games, except for maybe the national ones, whatever. And you're locked in. This is it. I mean, in the NFL, when you get the Red Zone channel and you get Sunday Ticket, you get all the games except for the national media games. And that's it.
Yeah.
And even that's kind of getting a little BS because they have all these extra games now that they have nationally and these holiday games that you lose more. You're paying more for Sunday Ticket, but then you're losing more of the action because of this. But they should have. The big inning that they do on MLB, they only do it sometimes. That should be almost every day, especially on the weekend. Are you kidding me? Should always do that.
Yeah, Baseball Red Zone. Like this,
they have
it already.
They just hardly ever show it. It's not nightly. It's like once every couple of weeks, once every couple of days, they randomly do it. It's great television, but they don't do it all the time. You should be able to pay for that. Like they should have it's I don't know what they're doing. But I will agree with Jeff Passan on the real solution is TV money. They have to find a way to make that lucrative for everybody. And I think they also need to implement a salary cap and a salary floor. And I think they're going to get a lot of people that are in on that. I think they're going to get a lot of people that buy back into baseball.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would love to be able to watch. I'd love to be able to watch everyone while I'm sitting here at the station. Like when I was doing Padre games, I mean, yeah, it's fun to watch the Padres, but like there were games on MLB Network. I could care less about watching. Like I would love to be able to put on like a quad screen.
Quad box.
And watch 4 other games while I'm sitting here paying attention and watching the Padre game as well.
I like where the Major League Baseball. I mean, as much as it's fun to really make fun of Rob, he's right on these areas of this labor negotiation. That's why it's so important. 833-288-973, 833-288-973. We took a long time on that, but it's an interesting topic that we had to get to. When we come back, we're going to continue our baseball conversation, but also get to the sports thread. College football, I guess if you have a kid that's going to be ineligible because he's been, I don't know, in college for 6 years, just keep getting denied until you find a judge that went to your college. Maybe he will fix it for you. That's a crazy conversation. We'll get to that in the sports thread when we come back. It's Daytona 500 week. More than just one race out in Daytona, Florida. The 2026 NASCAR Cup Series season officially gets rolling with the 68th running of the Daytona 500 set for Sunday, February 15th, 2:30 Eastern on Fox. And no matter how much the sport evolves, the prestige of the Harley J. Earl Trophy still stands alone. That's the big news for NASCAR fans. But for here in us in San Diego, it means the start of the season is here for a season that's going to include a race right here in San Diego.
Yep, absolutely. And there's a lot of learning to do, which is why we're putting NASCAR in these clips. So first, the very basics, because Daytona Super Speed Weeks are very, very different from anything else you're going to see over the course of the season. There are 36 cars that are guaranteed to be locked into the Daytona 500 no matter what. After that, there are going to be cars trying to race their way in through one qualifying, setting a fast time, or by going through the duels on Thursday, trying to race their way in. So there's a lot of different things that can happen over the course of this week that you won't see in any other week.
Yeah, that provisional is being used by being used this year by 7-time champion Jimmy Johnson, putting a 41-car field on track for NASCAR's biggest race. Good to see Jimmy Johnson back out there. I know he's been rumored to run in a lot of the races that are going to be here in San Diego.
Yeah, I believe he's already going to be running the Truck Series race. I'm pretty sure. I don't see why he wouldn't be in the Cup race either. So he's trying to do as much as he can for San Diego. So right now, getting back to Daytona, right now there are a lot of cars that are going to be running for those open spots. Now that Johnson's taken one of the provisionals, they've added a car to the 500. You have Justin Allgaier, Corey Heim, who was last year's Truck Series champion, Corey LaJoie, Chandler Smith, and Anthony Alfredo, who are going to be looking for either to get in through qualifying speed or to get in through the duels.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are just competing, just get their season started,
yes,
if you will. And when this starts single car qualifying on Wednesday night?
Yes, Wednesday night, the 11th. Then it is the duels on Thursday night. Truck Series season kicks off on Friday night. Saturday afternoon is going to be the ARCA Series race, which if you're looking for a demolition derby, the ARCA Series is where you're going to find it. The Xfinity Series will run on Saturday night, like midday Saturday into Saturday night. And then the Cup Series running the Daytona 500 on Sunday, where there's rain in the forecast, because of course there is. But President's Day on Monday, so a lot of people will have the day off.
Let's go back a little bit. Let's talk about how this works in terms of the qualifying for the big
Yes.
race. So it's going to happen Wednesday night, February 11th,
Yes.
will be the single car qualifying. Explain for us how do you qualify, what the rules are for the qualification, how many laps you get, and who gets to advance to the next stage.
So each driver will get one timed lap around Daytona. So they'll get their warm-up lap, they'll get the time lap, and then they get the cool-down lap. The top 10 will advance into the second round in the battle for the pole. The two fastest drivers in that final round will make up the front row for the Daytona 500. Then you go to the duels. The duel races on Thursday night. Drivers who qualified in odd number positions, 1, 3, 5,
Yes.
they'll be in duel 1. Drivers who qualified on the outside rows, positions 2, 4, 6, and on down, they will be in duel number 2. Now, the front row is locked for the Daytona 500. So whoever qualifies first and second are going to start the Daytona 500 from first and or second. However, it doesn't matter where you qualified after that, because if you win the duel race, if you win duel number 1, you're going to be starting third. If you finish second, you're starting fifth, and so on and so on. Same thing with duel number 2. If you win duel number 2, you're starting in fourth, second gets sixth, eighth, and so on.
For the open teams, this is where the pressure really spikes. If you're not already locked in on speed, the top open finisher in each duel punches a ticket to Sunday's race. And new for 2026, even the open cars that qualify on speed will have their starting positions determined by those duel results, as Frank mentioned, not just qualifying time. So it adds extra juice to the races during the week. So while fans see one race on Sunday, this week teams are managing 4 straight days of pressure, strategy, survival, just to get to the green flag.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the start to the year that you cannot wait for. 4 straight days of racing, 4 different classifications of car. It's a dream time for NASCAR right now.
So you go through all the qualifying and all that other stuff, and then we haven't even talked about and
then you crash on lap 1 and it's all over.
But then they got 2 final drafting practices, Friday and Saturday, before everything culminates in the Great American Race on Sunday. So it's a big time. It's a big race, and we're looking forward to it on Sunday and look forward to recapping it next week. Remember to listen at 1 o'clock for us to announce today's biggest fan for a chance to qualify for a night in our Odyssey suite at a future Padres game with all the fan staff. Register your name at 97throughthefantasy.com/biggest fan in order to potentially have your name called. We have tickets to give away later in the 1 o'clock hour.
I haven't updated the thing.
I know you haven't, because I've seen see our guy William on there still. Padres spring training tickets, correct? Still? Last day of that?
Last day of Padres spring training tickets. We have tickets to give away to San Diego State versus Grand Canyon next Tuesday. We would normally give those away on Monday, but because we're off for President's Day, we're giving them away today. We also have the biggest fan at 1 o'clock. So again, a busy 1 o'clock.
And the busy 1 o'clock is even busier because we have multiple guests at 1 o'clock. And coming up at about 15 minutes, we got the Sam Levitt spring training Sammy report. He was part of he talked to Jason Adam today, Miguel Andujar today, Craig Stammen today. We'll get all the information that we need from Sam coming up in just a little bit. But it's time to get to what's going on in sports. Man, is college athletics the gift that keeps on giving. By the way, there's a story that just came out not too long ago. It's probably not even in the sports thread. I'll add it.
Go ahead. So we'll have that one to start.
You know that group chat? The one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk. Brought to you by QC Kinetics. Stop sitting on the sidelines. QC Kinetics gets you back in the game without surgery. To learn how, visit QCkinetics.com.
Man, does college sports, man, are they the gift that keeps on giving. Just the gift that keeps on giving.
Would it happen to be that number 19, San Diego State water polo, opens their slate against number 21, California Baptist today? Is that the big story?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Number 1.
This might not even be the biggest story, but I just saw this come down an hour ago from Ross Dellinger. Ross Dellinger tweets this out. Negotiations between officials from Sacramento State, the one in California, right?
Yes.
They're in California?
Well, no, it's Sacramento State, so it's the state of Sacramento.
Okay.
Which is on the West Coast.
It's in California, though, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. We're talking about that Sacramento State, right?
Yeah.
Not like one that would be, I don't know, in the Midwest or something? No, why would it be in the Midwest?
No.
It's Sacramento State, right? The Hornets or whatever the heck they're called, right? They're in California.
Near the Pacific Ocean.
Okay. Well, apparently negotiations between officials from Sacramento State and the MAC have intensified over an expansion agreement that is nearing a vote. Sources tell Yahoo Sports. Sac State is offering an entry fee of more than $15 million. The Mid-Atlantic Conference. The Mid-Atlantic Conference. In the Midwest of the United States, the Mid-Atlantic Conference. Sacramento State is offering them $15 million to take them into the conference. Because nothing says the Midwest in Ohio, in Illinois, in Indiana, in Michigan, like Sacramento State. If a deal is struck, as Ross Dellinger tweets out, with the MAC, Sac State would represent the second FCS to FBS move this month, joining North Dakota State and continue with the trend of high-priced league entry fees. North Dakota State is paying $12.5 million to the Mountain West. There is also an additional $5 million FBS fee. I'm sorry, what? Sacramento State wants to be in the FBS so bad. They are paying the MAC $15 million to join the conference, on top of the fact they got to pay the NCAA $5 million to join the FBS, for them to fly to places like Buffalo, New York,
Bowling Green, Kentucky,
the MAC. We're talking about Toledo,
Ball State,
Western Central Michigan,
Eastern Michigan as well.
Eastern Michigan. This is the conference we're talking about. All for them to be, oh man, it's the Mid-American Conference. As in the Midwest, not Mid-Atlantic. It's the Mid-American Conference. The Mid-American Conference. Miami of Ohio, Ball State, the University of Massachusetts, Central Michigan, Ohio, Toledo, Kent State, Bowling Green, Eastern, Western Michigan, Akron, Northern Illinois, and Buffalo. Which, by the way, Northern Illinois, guess where they're going in football?
Mountain West.
The Mountain West. Let's put Sac State in the Mid-American Conference, and let's put Northern Illinois in the Mountain West Conference. What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing?
We do not crush Maction on this show.
I'm crushing Maction on this show.
We respect the Maction.
You got a mouse in your pocket? Who's we? Do not put words in my mouth.
We do not disrespect Maction on this show.
I mean, this is the conference that produced Antonio Gates in basketball.
Yeah. He played basketball?
Yeah. Do you know he played basketball?
I did not know he played basketball. That's news to me. You know what else is news to me?
Number 2.
Ole Miss quarterback Trinidad Chambliss.
Speaking of dumb college decisions. By the way, my take on that, Sac State, go ahead. You want to be an FBS program? Go ahead. Go ahead and fly to UMass for a conference game. Because nothing says they're in the same conference like Massachusetts and Sacramento State. ESPN in your pocket, Frank?
No. Ole Miss quarterback Trinidad Chambliss has been granted
this garbage
a 6th year of eligibility after a state court judge issued an injunction overturning the NCAA's denial of his medical redshirt waiver. Judge Robert Whitwell ruled that the NCAA failed to properly consider medical evidence related to Chambliss's respiratory condition during his 2022 season at Ferris State when he did not play or dress for games. The court determined Chambliss would suffer irreparable harm if denied another year, particularly given his NFL draft prospect after his breakout 2025 season, in which he led the SEC in passing yards, finishing 8th in Heisman voting and guiding Ole Miss to its first college football playoff appearance. The NCAA criticized the ruling as part of a broader patchwork of state-level decisions that undermine national eligibility standards. With courts increasingly stepping into eligibility disputes, is this empowering players like Chambliss or creating chaos at the NCAA rulebook? Nearly impossible to enforce consistently. I'm going to lay out, Braden. Have fun for the next 5 minutes.
This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. So, well, actually, it's genius on the part of these lawyers because, by the way, how many times has Chambliss been denied eligibility, Frank? Do you know, for this offseason?
I think it's been like 3 or 4 times.
It's been 4 times. He's been denied eligibility 4 times. And you know what Ole Miss did? They found a judge in Mississippi that is an Ole Miss grad, and he's the one that signed off on it. Yeah, he's good. Yeah, for sure. And then Chambliss at the end of this is signing an autograph for the judge. What in the kangaroo court? What in the kangaroo court's going on? What in my cousin Vinny is going on right now with the court systems for these? I mean, these lawyers are getting into, they're intelligent, right? Like, why am I going to file federally when it's going to get denied when I can just file in a local government by a judge that went to the school that benefits their alma mater? Say what you want about, like, well, you know, it was justified and they pleaded. Give me a break. You cannot have a judge in a local court who went to the university that the player is petitioning to play at for another year of eligibility rule on whether or not the guy is eligible or not. What are we doing? What are we doing? Joey Aguilar, the quarterback for Tennessee, is fighting for another year of eligibility, claiming the same thing Diego Pavia did about junior college doesn't account for eligibility at the college level. You know what Tennessee is doing? Probably looking for a judge that is a volunteer. And I mean from the standpoint of being a Tennessee volunteer. And if that gets approved at this point, you know your path forward. If you are any school to get anybody eligible, just go find some judge in your local area that's willing to sign off on their alma mater, gaining a player in college, and then eliminate all eligibility rules. The NCAA left that hearing early because, one, they had to get somewhere, and two, they knew how much of a crock of you-know-what that entire procedure was. You want to know why the NCAA has no power? Because of all of this stuff. Because the federal government can't get involved. They're busy with their own things. They have to fix this problem. Otherwise, it's not even college athletics anymore. What's the point? I mean, like, why even have eligibility? And the ones that are really suffering, the current high school kids that are going to have no shot at playing college. I have just no shot. If I'm a college coach, why would I ever recruit a high school kid when I could get a 28-year-old to play for me? Seriously, why would I? I'm just going to go to JC. Go to the junior college. Hey, this is like everybody's playing by the rules BYU used to play by. Oh, yeah, he's going on his mission. Aha, nice. Why does BYU have a bunch of 28-year-olds playing on their team? Well, they went on their mission for like 4 years, and now they're eligible.
You know what's going to be hilarious is when Trinidad Chambliss elects the portal next week. That's going to be hilarious.
I think that I would love that.
Please.
Lane Kiffin just
Trinidad,
drops a bunch of money on him. Like, hey, man, now that you're eligible, you can come to LSU.
You feel better now?
It's a joke. It's so stupid. I'm in favor of just eliminating all eligibility. Don't make them go to school anymore. I mean, just make them pros, negotiate with the collective bargaining, and I'm going to see how good these schools can get with their teams. Bring Max Duggan back. He's got a year left of eligibility. He didn't make it in the NFL. He played the preseason game. That's like playing for the G League. Bring him back. TCU could use a quarterback. So stupid.
Feel better?
So stupid. Are you in disagreement with this?
No, not at all. That's why I just sat back and let you go.
I got to speak for you on this. Our sports threads are getting small anytime there's college news. That was fun. Sam Levitt next.
San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the gas lamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
New lunchtime hour on 97.3 The Fan. The Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We are broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. And out in Peoria, joining us on the David P. Shapiro fan, not really hotline, but connection. David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorneys, helping good people regain control of their future when charged with the crime. Since 2010, visit davidpshapirolaw.com. Sammy Levitt joins us from Peoria, Arizona, posting a lot of great content today on the 97.3 The Fan page. A lot of great matchups. We're going to get to that in a second. But Sam, what's going on? How's your Friday going out there in Arizona?
Yeah, it's a good day here in Peoria. It's a little chilly, unexpectedly chilly. So the sun has not popped out at all. Very, very overcast skies. First sort of not perfect weather day we've had so far in spring training. But I feel like every year we go through a little bit of a cold spell and some rain. It rarely has been perfect throughout. So we're getting a little bit of chilly weather. But other than that, relatively good and I would say pretty quiet day here at spring training so far. I think this early in spring, to be honest with you, Braden, no news is usually good news this early in spring. And we've certainly seen around the game a lot of injuries so far. So to this point, it's been very uneventful, which I think you can definitely say is a good thing for the Padres so far.
Now, in my time living in Arizona, whatever the weather San Diego got a couple of days later, Arizona was probably going to get. Yeah. So it was chilly a couple of days ago, Sam. So hopefully it doesn't stay that chilly out there. Let's get to some of the sound that you have provided for 97.3 The Fan before we talk about some of the things that have happened on the backfield. But you got to meet with a couple of players already, one of them being Miguel Andujar and kind of what his role is going to be in 2026. How was the conversation with Miguel Andujar, and what were some of the biggest takeaways you got out of that conversation?
Yeah, Miguel's excited to be here. He's, I think ready to assume any role the Padres have for him. And to me, that sounds like potentially a significant part of it is going to be playing some first base. Now, that's a place he's not played a ton of. He has played some first base, but based on what he said today, based on what Craig Stammen has said, I mean, I think it potentially is going to be a significant part of what he does. Now, he does have the ability, obviously, to play some different spots on the infield and has versatility for sure. And obviously, we know his numbers against left-handed pitching have been good. So, look, I think the Padres expect him at bare minimum to be a guy they can plug into the lineup against lefties. How much he plays probably will be based on his performance and also how they feel about him defensively. But I do think he's going to be given an opportunity to go play some first base. And I would not be surprised if you see them sort of introduce him there at a level he has never really had in his career. So it's going to be interesting to see once we get into the games and some of the lineups to see how much he is getting work at first base. But this is somebody who, at bare minimum, if he can hit lefties and play good enough defense at a couple of different spots, could be very, very valuable to this team. So he's an interesting part of the equation for sure.
The other player that you talked to after they announced the Michael King signing, if you will, and that's Jason Adam. And in that conversation that was during our showtime, I mean, he made it sound like he could be ready for opening day. Now, after a couple of months of him working out and getting to that point, you got to talk to him again. What's the latest update on how Jason Adam is feeling and what his mindset is going into the season about when he could be back?
Yeah, I talked to him earlier today, and I mean, he absolutely believes he can be ready by opening day. I mean, he absolutely wants it and believes it. Now, I don't know that it's going to be totally up to him.
Right.
In fact, I do know it's not going to be totally
up
up
to
to
him.
It will be up to the team and how they want to progress him. But from a health standpoint, look, what he's doing already. I mean, I saw him moving really well in agility work, throwing his normal bullpen. He said it from a pitching standpoint, he feels better this year than he did in years prior. So he's ready to go. The hurdle that he's going to have to get over is the fielding his position and making sure the Padres feel he's in a place where he's 100% game ready to go. And he made the point to me earlier today, look, he's got to be healthy for the full season and healthy at the end of the year. And that is certainly a part of this. So could he be ready by opening day? It certainly seems like he believes that. Will he be on the opening day roster? I think that remains to be seen and probably is going to depend on how he progresses and how careful the Padres want to be with him. I do, wonder if there will be an element to the idea of this is a really good bullpen, even without Jason Adam. Obviously, Adam makes them even better. And you could argue, Adam may end up having the best season of all of them. I mean, he's that good. He's that effective. So, and we've seen it here in San Diego. So, it could be a situation where you can afford to kind of slow play it a little bit. So we'll see. He definitely believes it and sounds like he is well on track to be ready for opening day. Whether that actually becomes a reality, we'll see. But it's great news because I think, when the injury happened and when it happened last season and how it looked, I think if you would have asked a lot of us, we would have said, oh, that's going to be something where he's back, kind of more towards the middle of the year. And that is not going to be the situation. He's going to be back soon, if not on opening day.
We're talking with Sam Levitt live from Peoria, Arizona for our second of our weekly hits that we are going to do with Sam a couple times a week for the next couple of weeks as he's out there in Arizona. Sam, you met with again daily scrum with Craig Stammen today. Focus a little bit more on the catchers. I know yesterday he had a lot of thoughts about the catching position. A lot of reporters asking about, is that an area to AJ Preller of whether or not they will add a piece. The last couple of days, all the catching news. What can you tell us about the catching position, how Stammen views it, and what AJ Preller's thinking?
Yeah, look, from what I can tell and what's being said, I don't expect the Padres are going to add as far as their catching group. I mean, it really sounds like, obviously Freddie Fermin, and that Luis Campusano is going to be viewed as the number 2 guy. I mean, look, never say never. We know with AJ Preller, there could be a guy that comes in here and a la a Martin Maldonado and ends up on the team most of the season. I mean, remember, Martin was not here, originally in spring and shows up and kind of took that job along with Elias Diaz. So never say never, but I feel confident right now in saying that they view Fermin and Campusano as their 2 guys. And I think a point that Craig Stammen made earlier today was a really interesting one. In addition to obviously, wanting Campusano to translate what he did from AAA to the big leagues and obviously, play good enough defense behind the plate, to have the ability to play there at the big league level. I think the other thing that's really, really interesting and a good point is Freddie Fermin has never been a number 1 catcher for a full season. Remember, he always had Salvador Perez in Kansas City, and that's not a knock on Freddie at all. He has not been asked to be the everyday primary guy.
Which is very difficult to do at the major league level in general.
Of course it is. So I think it's a really good point, and I think it just emphasizes how important Luis Campusano is to this team. And, if they are going to put the trust in him to take that secondary catcher spot, get significant playing time behind the plate, man, Luis becomes a very, very important part of this team. He really, really does. And to me, from what AJ said yesterday, from what Craig said today, I'm very confident in saying they view this as Campy's job. And also they view it as the biggest runway he's had to take that position and run with it. Look, obviously he's had opportunities before, but this does feel a little bit different where it's like, he's in all likelihood going to be the guy, I guess, unless something crazy happens. I don't see anybody else in the catching group who would really take it from him. And he's going to get that opportunity to play and play significantly. And it feels like they're really, really hoping that he can do some really good things and translate what he did from AAA last year and be a significant part of this club in 26.
Are you surprised that they didn't bring anybody in for competition for Campusano for the backup spot? I'm a little surprised because it's like you don't want to just give him the spot, and I know that you want him to win the spot, but I with the way that you bring in, and you can never have too many catchers for spring training to catch bullpens and everything. I was a little surprised that they didn't bring in somebody to kind of push Luis, because right now it doesn't seem like there's anybody pushing him. Not that he needs it, but surprising at this level that they didn't do something like that.
Yeah, I mean, last year they did, to your point, with Maldonado. Maybe it's a little surprising based on where you kind of viewed him last year. Now, a lot has happened since the end of last year. There's a new manager and a new staff, and maybe that's part of this, where they view him differently. Maybe they're more willing to give Luis those opportunities, both in the lineup and behind the plate. Maybe there has been an attitude change towards Luis Campusano and what they feel like he can bring. So that's what stands out to me. It seems to be kind of a different tone, right now, and we shall see. But I think you make a fair point that, if you would have looked at the start of the offseason and said, there would not be a significant, well, I don't know how significant, but at least somebody you feel like that could really also you pair with Fermin, I would have been surprised. I don't know that I would have anticipated, based on how it ended last year, that it would just sort of look right from the get-go like it's going to be Fermin and Campusano, but it does appear to be that way. So, yeah, I think it's a little surprising maybe, but everything they're saying here, it sounds like they want to give him that opportunity and allow him to take it and run with it.
We're talking with Sam Levitt live in Peoria, Arizona, giving our our couple of times this week update from spring training. Let's talk about the bullpen sessions today. And a couple of things that stood out to me on some of the videos that you posted. One was how involved the other pitchers are with their fellow teammates when it comes to their bullpen, and almost like extra coaches out there. And the other one was some of the position players kind of observing some of the bullpens. So a question that I have really for Fernando that maybe you can ask, and maybe you've asked them, I'd love to know the takeaways that some of these big league hitters get from watching their own pitchers have bullpens. And if you've asked that question, I'd love to know. But also talk to us a little bit about the camaraderie that this club has. I mean, this pitching staff seems like they're pretty close together based on the images and the videos that you have posted on Twitter.
Yeah, well, I think your overall point is definitely true. I think it's one of the really good things about having a very, very similar group, and now a group of guys. I mean, you talk about these guys that have been together a long time. I mean, the core of this team has now been together a long time, and they've had ups and they've had downs. What stands out to me from a pitching standpoint, and I think it's very, very clear, and guys have talked about it a lot over the last couple of years, especially with the starters, it's a very, very close group, and they push each other and they help each other, and they are always there watching each other's bullpens. They're always behind the screen watching each other's live BPs during spring training. It's a very, very, very close group, and it's led by guys like Musgrove and King and now Pivetta. It's there. I'm not around every team to know well enough if that's common or not, but at least here with the Padres, it's a very, very, very close-knit, supportive group of pitchers, and I think you can tell that every single day, especially here in spring when there's so much there's so many bullpens and so much learning and teaching going on and adjusting and trying to learn different pitches. Like I don't know what Joe was working on exactly today, but there was a lot going on with his grips and the Edgertronic machine, and looking at how the ball was coming out of his hand. I don't know if he's working on something new or what it was, to be honest with you. I didn't ask him after he was done, but it was a pretty good example today watching somebody like Michael King really, really work with him very closely on what the relationship is like with those guys.
A lot of great live BP today. He posted a lot of good
Yeah.
matchups today. Mason Miller was in action today against at least Fernando Tatis Jr. and Gavin Sheets from the videos that have been posted on social media. Fernando also faced Justin Yeager later on. But, for a guy like Mason Miller and Fernando, I mean, these are guys that are getting ramped up for the World Baseball Classic. So obviously they're probably moving along a little bit further. But you can go and watch some of the updates again. We preface this by saying the results don't really matter in these live at-bats. Everybody's working on something before you think somebody's cooked or this pitcher's going to get shelled, whatever it may be. But what was your biggest takeaway in watching some of these matchups? Because it's kind of fun to see Mason Miller face Fernando and Gavin Sheets.
Yeah, it is. When I posted yesterday, JP Sears striking out Manny, some of the commentary.
Yeah, Tristan McKenzie gives up a knock up the middle to Ethan Salas. Salas is ready for the big leagues. Cut McKenzie. We can't have him. He can't handle this guy.
The thing about it, too, not only is just the premise ridiculous of judging these things on February 12th, February 13th, but, I'm not totally sure that the guys yesterday, like Fernando and Manny, when they were taking those at-bats, they didn't swing very much.
They just stand in there sometimes, too.
Yeah, I mean, they swung a little bit, but, it almost felt to me like they were just mainly trying to track pitches with maybe a swing,
which they have them do this early on in spring training.
Guess why? Because it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
They don't care about what happens in the live at bat on Field 5 on February 12th. But with that said, it still is fun because we see things that we don't see the rest of the year, and that's a good example today was Mason Miller, which is always fun to watch him because he's so dominant and he throws so hard and he's so tall. It's a pleasure. I mean, it really is to watch him, and everybody was back there and we were all sort of hoping that he would face some of the big guys, and he did. He faced Fernando. That was fun. He faced Gavin Sheets. That was fun. He faced Xander. That was fun. Again, he quote unquote struck out Fernando. Meanwhile, everybody,
he said check it. He said check it. Sam.
All the hitters were adamant that the pitch was way low. And Gavin Sheets, and you got him to quote unquote strike out. So I don't put a lot of stock in the results, but it's fun. It really is. And a cool element, and I was talking about it with some people beforehand, really cool element of Mason against Fernando, is that's a matchup you could very well see in the WBC if those two teams meet, the U.S. and the Dominican, right? You think about a late game situation. Can't you see Mason facing Fernando and Manny late in a close game? I mean, very, very, very likely scenario, really, when you think about the WBC. So kind of cool to see those guys face off, and might not be the last time we see it here over the next week or so.
I don't think they've probably talked about it yet because they haven't had the full workouts quite yet, Sam. Yeah. But I'm curious as this goes about, to talk about the ABS system and Fernando already tapping his helmet, right? Like what the if they're going to work on that at all on some of these backfields, what the strategy might be, right? Because you only get a handful, and if you lose it, you lose it. So I'm curious to see how they're going to structure that, and I'm sure that'll be a question for Craig later on during spring training that you can monitor. But have they pulled the system out at all? Have they done anything like that yet? No, I would imagine they probably haven't yet.
Yeah, well, I don't know that they can do it on the backfields. I guess they're looking at the TrackMan data and can kind of do it through that,
right? Because they don't have the video boards out there to look and see, right?
But a couple of notes on the ABS. Number one, Craig actually got asked about it a little bit today, and the question, if I recall correctly, was essentially, have you, kind of given any parameters to who you want to be able to challenge and who you don't?
I think that's an important question, especially.
Or maybe the question was actually about catchers, like.
Right. You want catchers over pitchers
doing it. Now, I know in the minor leagues, from what I've heard, in the minor leagues, for the most part, most teams said pitchers don't.
Yeah, their success rate wasn't very good, and so they had the catchers.
And the thinking there was the pitchers are too emotional about the pitches to be doing that.
Right.
And also they're also not receiving the baseball. So it always sounded to me like it was very much a catcher based thing. And obviously hitters can do it too. So Craig essentially answered the question by saying, look, they've had plenty of conversations so far about the ABS. They have not come up with the quote unquote ground rules for how they're going to employ it and who can challenge and exactly the strategy. They do have on the staff, Kevin Plawecki, who caught it AAA for a while with it. So he's been kind of a resource about it. It's funny. Craig Stammen brought up that he said he pitched rehab games with the full ABS system when it was implemented at some level in the minor leagues over the last handful of years. So long answer, less long. It sounds like it's still a work in progress, kind of how they're going to treat it. But I will say this, last year when it got introduced at the spring training games, it was very much like this, kind of this fun novelty thing that nobody really cared about. I will say, if I'm a manager, if I'm a team this year, I would treat it more seriously and really 100%. Be using it as kind of practice. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes during spring training. And then obviously at the start of the year as well. I like it. We probably talked about it plenty last year as it was being implemented in the Cactus League. I really like it. I thought it added just a little different element. I thought it was exciting. I thought it was simple enough, quick enough. So I think it's going to be ultimately a good thing.
I think it's going to be entertaining for a lot of fans too. I wanted to get that on your radar. We'll talk to you again next week. I know it's the lunchtime hour for us. It's already 1:00 for you guys out there in Arizona. We're not on the same time frame yet, but Sam, keep up the good work. Look forward to talking to you next week, and we'll see you then.
All right, guys. Have a good weekend. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Sam. Sammy Lev joining us from Peoria, Arizona. We got to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue our baseball talk as well. Also, Pac-12 released their schedule. Gwen and Chris talked about it yesterday. We haven't had time to talk about it yet. We'll get to that in the next segment or so. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's number one sports station, 97.2 The Fan. Time for our UCSD Tritons sports update of the week. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant from the Braden Surprenant Show, which you can listen to every single day on 97.3 The Fan from 10 to 2. Be sure to follow us for more content. Hit the subscribe button so all you Triton fans out there can get your weekly updates on the sports. If you haven't done so already, it's it's down below. You can just hit subscribe next to the name of the YouTube page. If not, go to youtube.com/@B_SURP for B Serp. Follow me on social media at the same handle, and follow Frank Marchese at Frank Z. Sorry, no. Frank MZ. Frank Marks. Frank Marks. F Marks.
FMARKZ324.
F Marks 324. F Marks 324. Which I knew the thing was. I didn't know. I forgot the little play on words that you had before.
Yes.
Marchese.
Yes.
Which is creative. Let's get to the Tritons update, if you will. Starting with men's basketball, they're starting to slip even more. When we first started doing these updates, they were right there, a game out of first place. Now they sit at 6-7, coming off of a 72-67 loss at Hawaii.
Yeah, that game against Hawaii was not a great showing. Another deep hole that they dug. We talk about it with the Toreros men's team. It wasn't quite that bad. 11-0 was still pretty bad against the Hawaii team. Really turned it around, though. Tom Beatty led with 14 points. Bull danged it. And Alex Shakin both had 11. So they started to claw back in, but it was ultimately not enough.
Now for UCSD, the question is, can they turn some of these close road losses into wins down the stretch of Big West play? And they're going to have to if they want to get a better seed in the Big West tournament. Now, the Big West tournament's not as extreme as the West Coast Conference tournament. It's more of a traditional looking tournament, which I think the West Coast Conference is going back to once Gonzaga leaves the conference, but we'll see how that plays out. As for the women's basketball team, again, another women's basketball team in town doing a lot of damage. They're 17-6 on the year and 12-1 in Big West play after beating Hawaii 59-46 to extend their win streak to 5 games.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've done a fantastic job. Aaron Condren, 12 points, 5 boards, 3 blocks. Both Rose and Condren are dominating right now. Tritons now have the best Division I start in program history, 12-1, 17-6 overall. both the men's and the women's this week, Thursday and Saturday, will both be playing UC Davis and UC Riverside. The women will be on the road. The men will be at Lion Tree Arena.
Michaela Rose had a program record 9 steals in the win against Hawaii, where Rose and Condren have both won the UCSD Athletes of the Week. So another good showing by the UCSD women's basketball team. As for baseball, in a very competitive Big West Conference, they will start up this weekend, just like everybody else is in college baseball. J.C. Allen and Michael Crossland have been named to the Big West preseason coaches team, but they have been picked, the Tritons have, to finish 6th in the preseason poll and what should be a very competitive Big West Conference this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not going to get off to an easy start for the Tritons either, opening up against UCLA at UCLA. So a very, very tough stretch for UC San Diego right off the get-go.
Yeah, they got UCLA February 13th to the 15th, 3-game series up in Los Angeles. And then they're part of the Tony Gwynn Legacy Tournament. San Diego State, UCSD, and USD all host. The schedules are relatively the same for all 3 teams because the teams that are coming to town, and you don't want to play teams in your conference and yada, 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 yada. But UCSD will play over the course of February 19th to the 22nd. They're going to be playing BYU. They're going to be playing Utah. They're going to be playing Creighton. They play Western Michigan. And then the following Tuesday after that weekend, they're going to play USD at home too, get a little local flair as well. So interesting start to the season for the Tritons in baseball, but a very highly contested start to the season for 17 newcomers joining the 2026 roster, including 10 freshmen and 5 transfers. So a lot of new faces, but that's been the common scene for all the teams in town that we've talked about here in college baseball.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of new names coming in. We spoke before about San Diego State having 19 players come in, but a lot of recruited players coming into UCSD, which is the big difference.
In softball, they have already gotten underway. They started last weekend. Freshman Bella Sedembro named the Big West Freshman of the Week. She had 7 shutout innings in the circle and a win and a save in the La Jolla Invitational. Tritons finished the opening week 4-1. Best start in Division I for them in Division I. Lauren Roselle and Sedembro combined for a near no-hitter versus St. Louis, a 3-0 victory. Upcoming, they got Utah Tech on Thursday, and then over the weekend, they're going to have Weber State, Boise State, Farley Dickinson, Colorado State, Friday through Saturday as part of these early season tournaments for softball. But good to see that UCSD has also gotten. Broadcasting live at the Bill House Studios, we know how. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, setting your number one sports station, 97.3. The Fan. We're going to get into the Nick Castellanos conversation a little bit later in the show. We got Erik Boland joining us from Newsday, Long Island, to talk about the Yankees as our 30 teams in 30-ish days. Drake Hills will join us at 1:35. We got college baseball, college basketball. We got so much to get to in such a small amount of time. Plus, we're giving away a bunch of stuff in the 1 o'clock hour. That's also fun. Be sure to stay tuned to our biggest fan at 1 o'clock, but also we need a contestant for our midday sports stand-up, which we're going to do next. If you could call in and take me down to sports trivia, you'd be qualified for a shot at 2 tickets to see 9 Inch Nails at Pechanga Arena on March 9th. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Let's get to, I want to get to this Pac-12 schedule, but we don't have a ton of time. So I want to do that a little bit later. A couple of things that we just discussed with Sam. I'm a little surprised. I asked Sam this question because they keep bringing up the catchers the last couple of days, which to me means the local reporters are working on something to do with the catching position. I know the Padres want Luis Campusano to be the backup catcher, which I think the Padres would be in good shape with Luis Campusano being the backup catcher. It'd be nice to have him finally get to that point. Also, the fact that he has to make the team in order to stay in the organization, right? I am a little surprised that they didn't bring in any competition. Now, I guess they could still do that. There are still catchers. They could probably bring Elias Diaz back if they really wanted to, Frank. But I'm a little surprised that they did not bring in, at least at this point, and they still can, some competition for the backup catcher spot.
I mean, you can. I mean, it wouldn't be all that crazy. But, I mean, if you're if you're bringing in a guy now, it's truly just to motivate Campy, like a guy who more or less won't make it. He could, and he would be a serviceable backup if Campy just somehow flops this spring training. But I mean, I don't think it would be all that bad to try to motivate him a little bit to just make sure that he's ready to go this year.
Right. I think it's a good, I thought it would be a good idea. I mean, AJ Cassville kind of alluded to that a couple of times in some articles during the offseason. It would have been nice to just, I mean, same thing with pitching. Like you need some catchers out there to really help out with the team. And not only the push, but I mean, you got guys need to catch bullpens and stuff. You can never have too much catching help when it comes to spring training. But like right now, there's 4 guys available on the market according to Fangraphs. That would be like, you could actually sell it as competition. It's Christian Vazquez, who's expected to get a 0.7 WAR according to Fangraphs this year. That'd be a 1-year, $5 million deal to bring him in, according to Fangraphs. Mitch Garver, who's 35 years old, also like Christian Vazquez, 1 year, $5 million, 0.3 projected WAR. I don't necessarily know if I want to bring in a competition at that kind of level. And then it leaves Tom Murphy and Elias Diaz. And you had Elias Diaz last year, and you know what you're going to get out of Elias Diaz. I don't know how much bringing in those particular players. Also, by the way, 35 years old, would show enough of competition to a guy like Luis Campusano anyway, and that might be the reason. Jonah Heim would have been a good one, I think, Frank. He ends up signing with Atlanta a couple of days ago. I think signing Jonah Heim would have been interesting. Atlanta gave him a 1-year, $1.25 million deal. Jonah Heim's a switch hitter. He's 31 years old, right? He's a younger player. That, to me, strikes me as a competition-level player to have in the organization, and the fact that they didn't pursue or maybe sign Jonah Heim as competition, I think tells you that they're solid with Luis Campusano being the backup.
Yeah, I believe that as well. And that would have been, as you said, a real genuine threat to that backup catcher spot for Luis Campusano. So it's like Sam said, it's all on Campy now. He is the backup. It's his job to lose. And if he does lose it or doesn't perform to the way he did last year during the AAA season, they're going to have to go scrambling to try to find somebody.
Yeah, or again, like a trade. I mean, that's the other thing too. I mean, unfortunately, Frank, we have said, or they could make a trade, and there's a lot of things on the list there that you might need to get via trade. But until the position players all show up and they have a full workout, which should be in the next couple of days or so, and until they start playing a game, which is next week, I mean, a week from today, they will be 30 minutes into a contest against Seattle, and they'll be playing real baseball, and so there'll be some real things to talk about, and that will be here on 97 through the Fan. That'll be airing live on 97 through the Fan. I mean, a week from right now, there's going to be baseball playing on the airwaves in 97 through the Fan.
It's nice. It is nice. Not
great.
Not the fact that it cuts our show short by 2 hours, but it's the fact that baseball is back. And by the way,
you get the tease right now with the college baseball being back.
Oh yeah, exactly. And it's a lot of fun. And I told you this during the break. I cannot stand when teams do not have the names on the back of the jerseys. Stony Brook does not have the names on the back of their jerseys, and the number looks like it's so low on their back.
A lot of college teams don't have names on the back of the jerseys.
I know. I can't stitch a nameplate in there, one that you could take out.
Go Aztecs. More golf outings? Bro, I don't golf ever. The only highlights we had from that golf tournament, that's the last time I went golfing. That was last June. I think it was last June. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. When we come back, we'll get to the Midday Sports Standoff. Tim, Dexter, Carlos, good luck to all of you. If you want to play the game, we'll play it when we come back. Well, if you're wondering whether or not the San Diego Gulls are legit or just hanging around the playoff line, last week kind of answered that. 7 of 8 possible points, 3 straight wins, a blowout heading into break, and now an AHL All-Star goalie leading the charge. What have they done? Well, Callie Klang is an All-Star, and it's earned. named the 2026 AHL All-Star Classic, his first All-Star nod. 11-3-2 record, 2.39 goals against average, a 906 save percentage, second best goal against average among Pacific Division goalies. He's not just surviving games, he's calming them. This team plays with confidence because they know what's behind them in net.
Yeah, it's absolutely huge to be able to rely on that goaltender to be able to calm games down when they're starting to feel like they're getting out of control. Defense might not have it that night. It's very, very comforting to know what you have behind you. You can't get complacent with it, but it's also very good to know what you got.
So he got announced as the goaltender in the AHL All-Star game, and then immediately backed it up with a victory for the goals as they beat Henderson 7-4. Now, it wasn't too much on the goal side for the goal, but the offensive statement that the goals made was very impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. Third straight win, 7 of 8 points in the final 4 games in this last week before the break, and a 7-4 win. Goals from 7 different players. Matthew Phillips, a 3-point night, now tied for the most on the team with 31 points. Justin Bailey set the tone early. Just a great, great night overall for the San Diego Gulls.
Yeah, Sosh stays hot. Yegor keeps rolling. Callie Klang stops 33 shots for the win. Number 11. Team didn't limp into the break, but they burst into it. And this is why it feels different. It's not just a hot week, but if you look out and take a broader look at this, points in 17 of the last 25 games. The record is now 21-14, 6-3. They're in 6th place, but only 6 points out of 3rd place. And the goal differential is positive. The Ben Higgins differential, right, is positive. Depth scoring is real, not theoretical. So they're off. They're playing really good hockey, and they'll get resumed again later this week. But it wasn't just last week. You look at the whole first half. I mean, last 25 games, they've been playing some really good hockey.
Yeah, they absolutely have been. And the only thing you worry about is the same thing you worry about in baseball as well. The All-Star break can be a godsend for some teams, but it could also be a detriment to cool you off going into a nice long break. And that's what you run the risk of here with the Gulls is this All-Star break going to hurt them more than it's going to help them?
And now a couple of things, too, with the Gulls. They got some upgrades from the Anaheim Ducks. So the Anaheim Ducks are off until, I think, February 25th is their next game.
Yeah, until the Olympics.
Because of the Olympics. And so with the Ducks being off in the NHL, they sent a couple of players back. Sam Colangelo was one of the first to get sent back, but then Tim Washy is also back. The All-Star forward returns after an NHL stint. He led the goals before the recall. He had size, leadership, and finishing down the middle. This lineup is deeper today than it was 2 weeks ago, and I don't know how long Washy's going to be down here in San Diego, but you're the Gulls. You got to take advantage of this as much as you can.
Yeah, absolutely, because the Gulls, I mean, while they're not the main focus, you're also trying to win. You're trying to win a trophy here. So it would be very, very nice to be able to use that NHL talent that you have to be able to get ahead, or in the Gulls' case, catch up a little bit. 3 games back, 6 points is very, very doable, especially in the American Hockey League.
Let's take a look at the big picture for the San Diego Gulls. You're seeing the identity start to lock in. Strong goaltending, heavy forecheck, speed through the neutral zone, and now offense that doesn't rely on one line with all of the goals that were scored by multiple people in their last game against Henderson. And head coach Matt McIlvain keeps saying it. Any line, any night, and the results are starting to match that belief.
Yep, and that's how you have to play it. You cannot rely, especially in the AHL, you cannot rely on one guy, because that one guy, if he is that good, is going to be gone. He's going to get called up to the NHL affiliate. So you need to be able to score from multiple places, and especially against Henderson's 7 different goal scorers. That is absolutely huge.
Again, San Diego Gulls are in 6th place in the Pacific Division. The top 7 make the playoffs, but they're only 3 points behind 3rd place in the Pacific, and they got a pretty big measuring stick coming up this weekend at Bakersfield on Friday, and first Bakersfield at home at Pechanga Arena on Saturday before playing San Jose next week. Those Bakersfield games are looking a lot like a playoff measuring stick, Frank.
Yeah, they absolutely are. A nice home and home against Bakersfield, and then you go into the middle of next week, which I'm sure we'll cover on the next week's update, against the Barracudas of San Jose. So a very, very good measuring stick here for the Gulls coming up.
And the thing with the goals is they had so many years now in a row where they did not get a lot of help because the Ducks were in full rebuild.
Yep.
And now that the Ducks have a young, talented team that doesn't need to rely on the goals are starting to reap the benefits of that. And we're seeing that with their record.
Absolutely.
We'll have an update again next week on the San Diego goals. For more goals, is that for us? He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number sports station, 97.3 The Fan. This Nick Castellanos stuff is insane. We talked about it leaving the studio yesterday. Frank said it. It's like, I got to see this article that he was trying to get out in front of. So there was an article in The Athletic, the unraveling of Nick Castellanos in Philadelphia and the incident that broke it. Of course, we talked about it yesterday. On June 16th in Miami, late inning defensive substitution. Castellanos was removed in his hometown with family in attendance, and he felt publicly disrespected because they removed him as a defensive replacement. And his response of being publicly disrespected was, let me go to the clubhouse. Let me open a Presidente beer. Let me walk into the dugout during the game. Let me yell at coaches and manager Rob Thompson. And he had to get calmed down by Kyle Schwarber and JT Realmuto. And Howie Kendrick, who was a special assistant, had to take the beer out of his hands in the dugout. Nearly forced a suspension for violating MLB alcohol rules. And I have to say, I saw this on Twitter, and I totally agree. I don't think people fully understand how much of a massive problem it would have been for the Phillies and for Nick Castellanos if they had caught him on television with an open beer in the dugout. That would have been catastrophically bad for Major League Baseball. A disaster. The Phillies won the game, but internally the relationship at that point was done. The performance started to decline for Nick Castellanos in 2025. His .694 OPS, 123rd out of 145 qualified hitters. He had a negative 0.6 F-WAR, which was 145th out of 145 qualified hitters. Phillies tried for months to trade him. Ultimately, they ate $20 million to release him. And over 4 seasons where he made $100 million, he had a 100 OPS plus, which is exactly league average. His big moments in October, notably versus Spencer Strider in 2023, but he never was consistent and was never a consistent star-level producer relative to his contract. A $100 million deal, that's a major problem. Teammates grew frustrated with Nick Castellanos. Key theme from clubhouse sources, he wasn't a bad teammate. He wasn't a team player. Examples, he played music from personal speakers after losses in which he played well. Publicly questioned the manager and the hitting coach. He said he only values opinions from those who, quote, carried the stick, in terms of coaches that actually played in the big leagues. He bristled at defensive substitutions. He believed he deserved middle of the order status. Privately, teammates questioned why he started 30 straight games after the dugout incident, why management seemed to protect him, and why so much energy was spent keeping him comfortable. And by September of last year, he was completely isolated from the rest of the team. The philosophical divide of Nick Castellanos. Nick Castellanos' worldview plays on feel and emotion. He takes everything personally, needs inspiration and comfort to thrive, and distrusts coaches who never played in Major League Baseball. Castellanos felt disrespected from the beginning in 2022 when he was booed early in his deal in the pressure to play at a high level at a big market, and asked to change what made him successful. And the Phillies felt they accommodated him extensively. They even let his son be around the clubhouse constantly. They avoided platooning him for years and tried to protect him publicly. And this became a classic clash of star ego versus team structure. The big market factor. Nick Castellanos actually preferred Miami in free agency, but the Marlins didn't want to spend the money to bring in Nick Castellanos. The Phillies would, so he took the $100 million over staying in Miami. He admitted publicly that chasing money in big markets can make players, quote, fall out of love with the game. He described Philadelphia as loud, demanding, unforgiving, and expensive expectations. And when production didn't match the contract, the temperature started to rise on Nick Castellanos. Final image of Nick Castellanos in Philadelphia. After the Phillies clinched the National League East, teammates celebrated inside. Castellanos was there shirtless, alone, smoking a cigar, saying division titles don't matter without a World Series. Symbolic. The marriage was over. That was a full report in The Athletic last night about Nick Castellanos. If you want for any reason, you think about this conversation. We talked about this yesterday. If you read that article in The Athletic, I'm telling you, you would have to get this guy for less than league minimum or try to sell and vet that he has been changed for you to bring him into any organization, especially a competitive one right now. I read that article last night, and my takeaway is, unless Nick Castellanos completely changes his worldview, his Major League Baseball career is over. And it's especially over for a organization that wants to win. I don't know how you could bring him in to any organization and be like, this is going to be great. Now, if he does learn from this, because he did put it in his Instagram post that he will learn from this experience, and maybe that's the case, because like Sean Manaea had a bad time in San Diego, in his own opinion, got depressed, didn't want to play baseball anymore, right? All of that conversation, he flipped the script and started to play a little bit better for the Mets. It's possible. The redemption story is there for a guy like Nick Castellanos. But it's going to be a hard sell, I think, for a lot of fans of whatever team he goes to, and he's going to have to fully embrace being a teammate if he wants to survive again in Major League Baseball. I mean, he is a massive reclamation project. If you're the San Diego Padres, like, is this a guy that you're willing to take a chance on? I don't think the Padres are in that position right now, but if they believe that they can vet this guy and the clubhouse likes it, I guess more power to him. The league minimum thing is one thing, but the production has gone down. He's been a clubhouse nightmare in Philadelphia. And unless he changes his tune of not being a selfish player and the Padres vet all of that, I would hate to see this guy in a Padres uniform unless he talks about how this can change. And I think people can change. I believe in the comeback story, but I don't know if the Padres are in a position to potentially be the one that gives him that redemption story. Maybe he has to go to a lower level team and play his way and prove that he can do great things so he's traded at a deadline. But Frank, before we get to the midday sports standoff, it is hard to read that article and be like, I really want this guy on my team.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I mean, this is what we were talking about before when I led in with the, would you rather have Nick Castellanos or Juan Soto on the team? I mean, this is, it's turned into an absolute disaster around Nick Castellanos. And even a friend of mine is a Phillies fan, unfortunately, goes to spring training every year, says he talked to him at spring training a little bit, like down on the side, and was like, this guy is so disconnected from reality. So, I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all.
Sell.
Yeah, it does not surprise me at all that this kind of story is coming out. Also doesn't surprise me at all about what happened in Miami, that he wanted to try to get out ahead of it. So
yeah, I can see that too. I mean, it's not a great article for him, nor, his agent. Good luck, dude. I mean, you could frame it like, here's the deal. Like, if the Padres were to sign this guy now, it would be all right, well, they need the help. I mean, we'll see what happens. Maybe you could take a chance. And if you give the league minimum and he sucks, he walks out. But there might be some damage in the clubhouse, right? I mean, can you handle that? I mean, could you handle messing up what could be your clubhouse that we just talked about with Sammy Lev being so tight knit, right? Like a pretty good group now. It's been the same group for a while. I find it hard for a good team that's competing to bring him in, unless you're a team unless you pull a New England Patriots and, you're just such a great baseball team that he's just going to change everything for you. But if he ain't doing it for Philly, I don't know how many organizations he's going to do it for.
For less than $800,000, it's a low risk for the Padres to take.
It is, but the risk is still him causing damage in the clubhouse with chemistry on his way out.
Bingo.
That's the riff. Like, if you're willing to take that risk, then by all means, if it's not that important, maybe we're misspeaking on that, then fine. But it's going to be a hard sell.
Yeah, it's not the conversation around Nick Castellanos is he going to be worth $800,000 on the field? Sure, there's a very good chance that he will be on the field worth $800,000. It's what are the other things that we're not going to be able to see? What damage is he going to do there? Is that going to be worth $800,000? For my money, from everything I've just heard and read from last night and just now, I wouldn't touch him.
I wouldn't either.
Not a shot.
It's too much of a. I think the Padres are in too much of a position to lose in this particular case. Can you make me lose? Time to get to the midday sports stand-up.
Welcome to Midday Sports Standoff on the Braden Surprenant Show.
I can't believe what I'm seeing right now.
The ultimate head-to-head battle where sports knowledge and quick thinking collide.
No, it's no good. Are you kidding me?
Contestants will go toe-to-toe with Braden in a sports trivia deal where every correct answer brings them closer to victory.
Down the sideline! Wow! Unbelievable!
But 3 strikes and it's game over.
This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
Can you outsmart Braden? The Midday Sports Standoff starts now.
All right, Frankie, we got playing today.
We have Dexter in Spring Valley. Finally got through today. Dexter, how are you, bud?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
It's fitting for a guy that loves motorsports to be on the contest for Daytona weekend.
I know. Well, and last weekend was my birthday, so let's see if we can close out the week on a win for me.
Let's go. I think you're going to be able to do it today, Dexter.
Yeah, this one it's a 3-day. We're going into a 3-day weekend on a Friday.
Be quick. We got to. Well, let's pick up the pace.
Yeah. So, who made the playoffs in baseball last year? That's pretty much what we're going with. It's an easy one today.
Jeez, man.
Dexter.
Creativity is just long gone for Frank. Has got the senioritis for the weekend.
Dexter, pick one before I bap him one.
Okay, let's go with the Padres. Low-hanging fruit.
Nice.
Very good.
Let's go with the team they played. The Cubs.
Very good.
The Dodgers.
Let's go
looking for teams in both leagues, by the way.
Let's go for the team that lost to the Dodgers in the first round, the Cincinnati Reds.
Looking for teams in both leagues.
Well, I mean, we might as well finish the National League. Dexter, come on.
Okay, then we'll pick the team that actually lost to them in the series, which would be Toronto.
Toronto, correct.
I'm going to stick with the National League. The Brew Crew.
Yes.
And on the West, I think it was Seattle.
Yes.
Phillies.
Slow down.
Oh, boy. Okay. Your Metropolitans, Frank?
No.
That's not Padres beat him. No,
He wasted to get you a jab, Frank.
I'm giving you 2 strikes for that one, Dexter.
Oh,
Thank
no.
you. There's 4 left, all in the American League.
Detroit.
Tigers, yes.
Okay, and then the Yankees.
Yes.
Tigers, Yankees,
There's
Red
2
Sox.
left.
Oh, my.
Yes.
Oh,
Dexter,
no.
begrudgingly, you could still get this. Begrudgingly only after the joke.
I'm crossing my fingers and going to say, I hope that I don't have a problem. Houston?
Oh, no.
No, Houston did not make the postseason.
It would have been better if Dexter waited till the very last one to throw the Mets in there and throw the game just to spite you with the Mets and to rub it in your face. That would have been funny.
As Juan said in the chat, relying on the Mets was your first mistake.
That's you know what? That's the joke of the day right there. No foul given. You know what? That's a hard foul, but it's a funny foul. Cleveland, the Cleveland Guardians.
Cleveland. win.
Yes, it was. It was the Cleveland Guardians. Dexter, I am
Okay.
sorry.
You know what? Dexter will ask on Monday who are who qualified for the Daytona 500.
Well, we know that answer
right.
as of last night.
You could do Monday. It'll be Monday's deal. Name the top 10 finisher of the Daytona 500.
Listen,
One,
I
that's
wanted an easy
one.
one. Y'all hate the tough questions. Y'all hate the easy questions. Like, I'm just gonna stop asking questions. How about that?
I come up with some pretty
How about
tough
that?
trivia questions.
No trips. No trips at all. No trips to Vegas. Sorry.
If you make it
You all
difficult,
lose.
they'll probably beat me by default. I'm just saying, like
No, they
833
beat me is what they do.
Oh, yeah, well, there you go.
Beat me with a stick.
We got a lot of giveaways to get to in the 1 o'clock hour and a guest when we come back. Trivia. Name the top 5 major United States 1 o'clock means only one thing. Means it's time for today's biggest fan. Congratulations to today's biggest fan, Sarah O'Neill in Ramona. Sarah O'Neill in Ramona. Give us a call in the next 10 minutes at 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973, and you'll qualify for our grand prize, 20 tickets for you and your friends for our night in our Odyssey Suite at a Padres game with all the fan staff later this season, catered by Spiro's Mediterranean Cuisine. Remember to register your name at 97through-thefantasy.com/biggest fan. Sarah O'Neill in Ramona. You got 10 minutes, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973, and you'll qualify for our grand prize. Sarah O'Neill, today's biggest fan. Alongside Frank Marchese, I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We are now joined by a writer for Newsday Long Island, who's covered the Yankees for a long period of time now. He joins us on the David P. Shapiro fan hotline. David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorneys helping good people regain control of their future when charged with the crime since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. He is part of our 30 teams in 30-ish days. His name is Erik Boland, writes for Newsday Long Island, giving us an update on the New York Yankees. Erik, what's going on? How's your Friday?
Braden, it's going very well. How are you doing today?
Doing well. Good to talk to you again after last season. And for the New York Yankees, I mean, obviously, this is a team that probably disappointed in the way things finished last year, but a team with a high payroll, team with a lot of stars coming back, and a team that is getting up there a little bit in age. How would you recap how the Yankees did during the offseason?
Well, I mean, the phrase that you've heard most often, Braden, describing the Yankees going into spring training, coming off of the offseason, is that they're, quote, running it back from last year. 24 of the 26 players who comprise their ALDS roster are back, and that includes, obviously, their number one target in free agency this year, Cody Bellinger, the outfielder who played 1 year for the Yankees last year and had a standout season. And the Yankees, wanted him back desperately. They brought him back into the fold, and a lot else from that year's team, and that's caused quite a bit of anger amongst the fan base, who always want the biggest toys under the tree, around the holidays when it comes to free agents. And some years they get those gifts, and some years they don't. And a lot of the things you hear from Yankee fans is, okay, yeah, we won 94 games last year, but we didn't beat the better teams on the schedule, and that includes the Toronto Blue Jays, against whom they went 5-8 in the regular season, and then really got waxed in the division series going out in 4 games. But I think it is a defensible position from the Yankees standpoint because, they were pretty good last year, and games 1 and 2 of that division series, their 2 best pitchers went in those games, Carlos Rodon and Max Fried, and neither one of them, was great. And so that's, it's going to be fascinating to see what will happen with this fan base if this team gets off to a bad start, because it was an angry fan base at the end of last season, and they were angry all winter. And there's not going to be any kind of a honeymoon period if they pull out of the gates slowly this year. But, that said, when you match up roster across with the Yankees against the rest of the American League, there's no reason to expect them not to be up there again.
We're talking with Erik Boland, who has been a beat writer for the New York Yankees since 2009 for Newsday Long Island. He's been with Newsday since 2002. He's given us an update on the New York Yankees as part of our 30 teams and 30-ish days, if you will. Let's talk about the starting rotation. You mentioned it a little bit, Erik, but you look at the starting rotation of Garrett Cole, who has had some injury concerns since coming off of injury. Carlos Rodon, who has had some injury history as well. Some young arms as part of that rotation too, with Luis Gil and Ryan Weathers. But this is a rotation that Max Fried can't necessarily carry his way. There are some holes there. How did the Yankees address this? And do you think the rotation can stand up for the entire season, or do you think that this is an area that they're going to have to add near the deadline?
I mean, I will say that the Yankees feel the best about their rotation, even with Carlos Rodon, Derek Cole, and Clark Schmidt all slated to start the season on the injured list, and they're all supposed to come back at various points during the year. Rodon could be back as soon as late April, early May. Cole, you could probably, pencil in, June 1st. I expect him to start the year on the 60-day IL as he recovers or finishes recovery from Tommy John surgery. And then Clark Schmidt, who underwent Tommy John surgery mid-season last year, he would be, best case scenario, probably late August, for the Yankees. But you mentioned Ryan Weathers. He'll probably start the season in the rotation. And then as those other guys come back, he'll probably be a long man in the rotation. They've got Cam Schlittler, a rookie flamethrower that came up last year and was terrific, and then had a historic performance in the Game 3 clinching victory over the Red Sox in the wild card round. He'll be in the rotation. Will Warren, who a year ago started 32 games, the most on the staff, a piece of trivia that most people probably would not get, certainly the casual fan. He had his ups and downs, but he still was good enough to make 32 starts for him. He likely will be in the rotation. They also have lefty Ryan Yarborough, kind of a journeyman in his career who, can throw multiple innings. He's a contender to start the season in the rotation. And then, of course, you've got, Fried, who you mentioned, and also Luis Gil, who came back late last season from injury, but they fully expect him to recapture his Rookie of the Year form from 2 years ago. So they have a lot of starting pitching depth in theory, but it also assumes that the three pitchers who I mentioned that are going to start the year on the IL, it assumes that those three players' rehab are going to continue without hiccups. And I've been covering this sport a long time. You mentioned I've been covering the Yankees since 2009. I can tell you that making assumptions along those lines can get you into trouble. And that's one of the reasons why the Yankees added, some of the depth that they did this offseason, like Weathers and bringing back Yarbrough, because they want to protect themselves, in case there's a hiccup here and there with any of the rehabs, whether it's Cole, Rodon, or Clark Schmidt. And then they also have a stable of pitchers at AAA, starting pitchers who are, depending on which scouts that you talk to, are some of the higher rated pitchers, or prospect pitchers in the sport that are kind of knocking on the door that the Yankees have high hopes for, who could get a crack at some point. So I will say, covering this organization as long as I have, they feel as good about their starting pitching depth as maybe they ever have in my time covering the team. But there still are some questions there. You asked if there would be a trade deadline need. I really don't think so. But there are some assumptions that the team is making too, when it comes to that.
We're talking with Erik Boland, who has been covering the Yankees since 2009 for Newsday Long Island. Last thing for you, we've had a beat writer on from Baltimore and Boston and Toronto. It's going to be a very tough division this year in the American League East. And, not to discredit the Rays, they always kind of sneak up on teams throughout the season. All the teams have made major improvements during the offseason. How do you think this division is going to play out in the American League East based on, what you've covered so far in your time with the Yankees, but also how the Yankees stack up, going into the season compared to the other teams that have also made major moves?
Yeah, no, I think the East is showing is potentially going to be as loaded as it's been at some time. And certainly the East has had the reputation for years, and deservedly so, as being the toughest top-to-bottom division in baseball. And some years that's kind of a cliche, and it really isn't as good as what it's made out to be. Last year, I think, was an example of that, because the Orioles were very a disappointing team, and the Rays were not as good as they thought they were going to be. As you said, they usually manage to sneak up on some people and surpass expectations. Last year was not one of those years for Tampa. Boston was a up and down team. They certainly came on in the second half of the season. And Toronto was certainly obviously was good. All of the teams, like you said, other than Tampa, but they never do, made significant moves to get better in the off season. And you can argue the Yankees are not in that team or in that group of teams just based on the fact that they brought back so much of last year's team. So how much better did they actually get by bringing back a lot of those guys? Remains to be seen. But top to bottom, and even when the Rays don't make big moves, they're always a pain in everyone's butt in the division. And even in a down year last year, they were still a pain in other teams' butts. So I think, at least from my standpoint, covering the team, like you said, since 2009, it's shaping up to be as good a division as I've seen in that time period.
We appreciate the time, Erik. Look forward to talking to you later in the season when the Padres match up with the Yankees. Always a wealth of knowledge about the New York Yankees. We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Braden. Very much appreciate joining you, and look forward to talking to you during the season.
Erik Boland, Newsday Long Island, joining us on the Braden Surprenant Show. In just a little bit, we're going to have Drake Hills on, who is a contributing writer for Black Players for Change, give us our soccer update, if you will, as San Diego FC was able to advance in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. But when we come back, a conversation that we haven't had yet about the new Pac-12 schedule. Pac-12 announced their schedule earlier this week. San Diego State has 7 games in it and a flex game. What is that all about? Well, we'll dive into that when we come back. Get to take on who's coming to town to take on the Aztecs in football when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's Urban Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. Well, if you're looking for proof that San Diego High School sports is peaking at the right time, this is your week. Statement wins, ranking shakeups, a coaching hire that brings NFL experience home, and spring sports officially stepping into the spotlight. Let's start with the game that felt like a playoff preview. And these are the two teams that have been battling it out in the prep rankings for boys basketball in town. I vote in the boys basketball top 10. I've been voting for Francis Parker ever since they beat Santa Fe Christian the first time, but they ended up doing it again. Everything was on the line last Wednesday. League control, open division seating, and even player of the year implications. And Francis Parker beat Santa Fe Christian 63-56, their second win over Santa Fe Christian this season. And with it, Lancers took full control of the Coastal League. And by the way, took full control of the top 10 in San Diego.
Yeah, absolutely. They did it through adversity as well. Leading scorer, Tavid Johnson, fouled out with nearly 6 minutes left in that game. Kai Jones cramped up late. Role players were forced to step into huge moments. And boy, oh boy, for Francis Parker, did they ever answer the call.
Yeah, Jones finishes with a career-high 21 points. Columbus Palmer adds 18. Ezekiel Walker, scoreless all night, buries a corner 3, and free throws late. That's championship-level basketball for Francis Parker. Now, Santa Fe Christian still got a monster performance from Dax Hall. He had 26 points, 5 boards. Chase Othik chipped in 20 and 8. Game swung on runs, emotion, and composure. And here's the key takeaway. Francis Parker scheduled pain all season playing the best teams in California, and now it's paying off. This win didn't just flip the league race, it flipped the county hierarchy, and I think it's going to set up for a very important open division playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. And Francis Parker getting this win was absolutely huge. Some say could have probably been ranked ahead of Santa Fe Christian a little bit earlier, but now leaving no doubt by doing it again.
But you look at the rankings shakeup this week, and in boys basketball, Francis Parker now jumps to number 1. Victory Christian, who continues to chug along and win a lot of games, stays number 2, and Santa Fe Christian drops from 1 to 3 in a lot of different polls. This open division field is loaded, and there's a real chance Parker and Santa Fe Christian see each other a third time with even higher stakes. Now, for the girls, Mission Hills takes over number 1. Francis Parker drops to number 2. La Jolla Country Day holds steady at number 3. This isn't about one dominant team. It's about depth and matchup chaos heading into the postseason. Girls basketball has been very competitive.
Yeah, it has been, and especially with guys, with the teams moving around. Mission Hills, again, as you mentioned, taking over that number 1 spot, jumping over Francis Parker. it has been very, very competitive this year in the girls basketball.
Let's take a look at the athletes of the week. According to the San Diego Union Tribune, across the county, stars showed up in big moments. Sophia Sugapong from La Jolla Country Day passes 1,000 career points in a win over number 1 Bishops. Madison Vandiver out of Brawley, 24-second pin sparks another section wrestling title. Diego Ortiz of Mira Mesa dropped 29 points in a road win at St. Augustine. And Elisa Nahara of Olympian, 32nd pin to clinch a 6th straight section title. This is the time of year where legends start stacking big moments.
Thank you very much for making me not try to pronounce those names. But yes, congratulations to all 4 of the athletes of the week, especially Elisa Nahara out of Olympian High School.
Is it even possible to get through a weekly update without giving you a football note here in San Diego?
No, probably not.
New head football coach at El Camino, Frank.
Yeah, apparently Stephen McClure is now a former Vista High School star and NFL defensive back, is now the new head coach over at El Camino. And this isn't just resume hype. He does have local roots, college and NFL experience. He also has a clear focus on culture before scheme. So a very, very big hire for El Camino, as they've lacked what they've lacked is stability and identity. And McClure's first real win will come long before Friday nights, as it will be in spring and summer buy-ins.
Yeah, for El Camino, it's a transition period now, and Stefan McClure, Silver Pigskin Award winner from his days back at Vista High. So he went out, he achieved a lot of great things as a player, is now coming back to San Diego and is leading another team in the North County at El Camino. We'll see how they do up in the North County this season. Now, shifting to the springtime, the only sports that are about to get underway is track and field. Winter starting to wind down, track and field about to steal the spotlight, and you got to start keeping an eye on some of the local athletes in town that have done a really good job. But Jasir Fontenot out of Modern Day Catholic, he's chasing a sub-13 in hurdles. Josiah Bowman out of Sage Creek, hunting a sub-150 in the 800. Jalen Williams from Eastlake versus Chiara Daly of La Jolla. That's a rivalry headed to Stanford. And Steel Canyon Girls Relay, a 48-year-old section record could fall with how talented this particular team is. So San Diego quietly becoming one of the best track sections in the state.
Yep, and also.
All right, we got to give away tickets. We will come up with Actually, I got a trivia question for.
We got to give away 2 tickets.
The Padres. That's going to be going away to the next break. And then I'm going to be giving away. We got to give away tickets to the Aztecs, which we got to do, I guess, at the end of the show or something.
Yeah, no, I mean, if.
I have. We're going to do the Aztec one first. And then we're trying to give away the tickets for the.
You want to do the Aztec one now? I'm ready for it.
All right, well, I don't have an Aztec question. I do have a Padres question, though.
Okay, whichever one you want to do, I'm ready for it.
All right, let's do the Aztec one first, and we're gonna do the Aztec one. I want to do the Aztec one, but I also want to do it based on the schedule, so I guess I can't really do that. Here's the trivia question for you. Name me the first conference opponent for the Aztecs next year. First one to call in and tell me who the first football conference game is against on October 3rd for San Diego State football will win tickets to San Diego State basketball on Tuesday. Pair of tickets to see San Diego State Aztecs take on Grand Canyon on Tuesday, February 17th at Viejas Arena. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. First one to call in and tell me who the Aztecs are playing in their first Pac-12 conference game in football.
Yes, and we're taking that right now. We're not waiting until the break. We're taking that right now.
What's up with the phone system? Like 2 people have called immediately. Got shut down.
I don't know. I really don't know.
833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. I'll let Frank deal with that as I go through the schedule. Maybe he'll have the answer. Maybe you won't. San Diego State got their schedule for the Pac-12. The Pac-12 is back. Wow, back-to-back walks for the Toreros. How about that? USD got runners on first and second, top of the first inning. Nobody out in Charlotte.
Oh, okay. Yes.
So the Pac-12 is back, and the Aztecs are walking into a prove-it season. The rebuilt Pac-12 officially launches in 2026 with 8 teams: Oregon State, Washington State, Boise State, Fresno State, Colorado State, Utah State, Texas State, San Diego State. They should just call it the state conference at this point. Each team's going to play a round-robin conference schedule plus 4 non-conference games. The new wrinkle, a Week 13 flex game where the conference can adjust matchups based on playoff implications. The Pac-12 championship game will be hosted by the highest seed on December 4th, nationally televised on CBS and Paramount Plus. And for San Diego State fans, this isn't just a schedule release. First real measuring stick of where San Diego State stands in a rebuilt power structure. San Diego State 2026 schedule breakdown. They have 4 non-conference games, 1 against Portland State, 1 at UCLA, James Madison at home, and at Toledo. So those are your 4 non-conference games in order. As for the Aztecs, in terms of their non-conference, UCLA, brand name litmus test. They get to play that game at the Rose Bowl. Toledo, sneaky good out of the MAC conference. And then James Madison, that's not going to be a pushover. They were in the college football playoff last year, and I know they probably have lost a lot of players due to their coach leaving and actually going to UCLA, but that's an interesting team here coming to San Diego and coming to Snapdragon Stadium. So not a soft ramp up for the Aztecs. If San Diego State stumbles early, obviously the margin for error in conference play shrinks immediately. But the conference schedule, opener, their first game in the Pac-12, as correctly said by
Evan in Lemon Grove.
Evan in Lemon Grove. Congratulations.
I made sure to not call Erik this time, apparently.
Called him Erik?
Last time.
Yes. Way to go. Way to go, Frank. They are playing who in there? How about this? San Diego State's finally in the Pac-12. If you did say this like 10 years ago, hey, San Diego State's going to be in the Pac-12. You know what their first conference game is going to be against the Pac-12?
USC,
I don't know. Oregon?
Baby. Let's go.
UCLA? Texas State.
Yeah. Oh.
Texas State. That's the first conference game. Power Conference, Frank. Power Act 5. Power Act 12.
Power Act 12.
Power Act 12.
We also had our biggest fan call in today. That's a first for the week.
That's nice. They were calling. I kept seeing a Ramona call, and I was like, well, didn't say Sarah on the thing, so you were not answering it? Come on, man.
Well,
foul.
It's not that
foul.
Brother.
You know it's a foul. It's a foul.
Brother.
Foul.
He draws the foul.
Did you not see me running back and forth over here like an idiot trying to get YouTube stuff ready to go?
Hey, you could still put the on hold.
I did.
But then you didn't answer them. I mean, it's a tough gig, man.
Okay.
Bases loaded for the Toreros, top of the first. Nobody out, by the way. All right, so the Aztecs got Texas State in their first ever Pac-12 game. The classic Pac-12 powerhouse, Texas State, Frank. Oregon State on the road. They'll play Fresno State at home, then at Colorado State versus Washington State and Utah State, back-to-back home games with a bye mixed in at Boise State. Then they got the flex game, which has to be on the road. Now, here's the deal with the flex. Flex wild card. Week 13 gives the Pac-12 powers to manipulate matchups in the best interest of the league. If San Diego State is in the title hunt, they could be thrown into a de facto playoff game. Trauma by design, and it means November football in San Diego could suddenly matter nationally. For me with the Aztecs, I keep I'm trying rushing through this, thinking I have not a lot of time, but we have tons of time. Let's talk about this for a second. What stands out for the Aztecs, number one, they got Boise State. Obviously, they're going to play them every single time because it is a round robin with the 7 games. San Diego State closes the season at Boise before their flex game, which is potentially a division deciding game, a college football playoff influencing matchup. It's going to be on the Smurf turf. And if you want to win the Pac-12, you probably have to go through Boise anyway. That's the reality of this particular matchup. Fresno State back in the spotlight. October 17th at Snapdragon Stadium. That rivalry game just got elevated for the Mountain West bragging rights to Pac-12 implications. For San Diego State fans, that one is emotional and strategic for the team up north. Lose it, you risk falling behind in recruiting and perception, of course. Win it, you announce relevance. Plus, you win the oil can. Washington State, Oregon State are projected to be the standard of the Pac-12. Are you ready to declare that Washington State and Oregon State are the flag bearers of the new conference, Frank?
They get it de facto because they're the only ones that stayed. But if you're looking at the quality in the conference, no.
No, absolutely not. I think San Diego State and Boise hold more weight in football than Washington State and Oregon State. Oregon State lost to Sam Houston last year.
I agree, but like I said, they're the only ones that stayed. So naturally, they are going to be the ones that get all of the pomp and circumstance from the conference.
Right. I get that.
Understand.
But at the same time, I'm not,
No, they're not the best. They're not the best schools in the conference.
You're not super. It's not like beating Texas in the old Big 12.
No.
It's not even going to be close to that. It's like beating Alabama in the SEC. That they get to be the de facto holders of the flag until basically they start playing games. So you got to play Washington State and Oregon State. Obviously, you got Oregon State on the road. You got Washington State at home. They've been playing these two teams the last 2 years anyway. So that nothing really changes. The flex wild card is interesting to me for a lot of reasons. Aiden Howard with a base hit to left. That's going to score at least one run.
Okay, you're 97.3 The Fan, not ESPN Plus.
Hey, you do it with soccer.
I do not. I do not give a running play-by-play of every 2 seconds.
I didn't give a running play-by-play. I just said they just got a base hit and scored a run.
How many of you guys
That's
knew
your
that?
update.
How many of you guys knew that Hull City was losing to Chelsea right now in the FA Cup? 4-0?
Currently not. But
no one. Exactly.
You like to chime in with the Team USA hockey, threw those in there.
You told me to do that.
No, I said we'll give updates. I didn't say instant updates. You came up with the goal gimmick. I didn't come up with the goal gimmick. You came up with the goal gimmick.
Brother.
You came up with the goal gimmick. The flex thing, I like the flex idea if the Pac-12 makes it like a playoff. They could still royally screw this up. What I don't like about the flex idea is the built-in, like, oh, San Diego State has to have a road game because we want to keep it balanced. No, forget that. Because that means the 4 teams that are expected to be the road team already can only play the teams that are expected to be a home team in the last week. What's the point of that? Like, you can't. I think San Diego State and Boise State both have to have a road game in the final week. If they're the next two, if they're the 2 teams that have to play in the flex week, it kind of defeats the purpose. The flex week. So for anybody who doesn't understand, so there's only 8 teams in the Pac-12. Just to add to the craziness of college sports, there's only 8 teams in the Pac-12. Which means you have 7 conference games, which means you have to have an extra conference game that's not going to count in the standings, as they alluded to. And in doing so, they're trying to make it the last week so it's open. So based on how the results are, we'll determine within 6, they have up until 6 days, within 6 days of the game to have to move things around, if you will. Up until 6 days of that last week. So San Diego State's not going to know who they're playing in the final week of the season until the standings are determined. I like the idea of the best team in conference playing the 4th best team in conference and the 2nd best team in conference playing the 3rd best team in conference, and the 2 winners of those games go to the Pac-12 championship game. That's what I want to see. But,
I would agree
but the
with
thing is, they're not going to do that because they said these games don't count towards the Pac-12 standings. Well, if that's the case, it's just an extra game for what? For fun or for just the college football playoff? I would prefer it to be a playoff in itself. That's how I would do it. But we'll see what the Pac-12 decides to do. CBS is the primary partner through 2031. For San Diego State fans, national windows, real broadcast production, actual visibility and recruiting battles. That's good news. Real question for Aztec fans, though. Is this just the reset or kind of the new ceiling for San Diego State? I mean, the Pac-12 rebuild does give San Diego State a bigger stage, but I think they got to be able to execute with this life raft before the next realignment that happens in 2030, Frank.
Yeah, and I would think if you're being realistic here, I think the Big 12 would be the target with the next conference realignment. Or who knows? I mean, if the Pac-12 proves to put on some quality football, maybe they lure some like Cal and Stanford and USC, UCLA back. Maybe that is the case. If they're able to get a good enough deal, you might see Arizona back in the Pac-12. Who knows? But I think right now, with the way everything is set up and assuming that the Power Act-12 is not going to draw those teams back, I would say try to win this conference more years than you don't to try to line yourself up for a bid to go to the Big 12. That would be my my goal for San Diego State.
Yeah, nobody's coming back. I mean, like, you could talk to Aztec fans and they think Stanford and Cal's coming back, but they won't. And the reason is not money. The reason why they won't come back, they won't come back because they think they're so much more prestigious than San Diego State in academics, right? So, like, from that perspective, they're never going to come back. They never are. So to me, I thought this entire thing is based on survival. I think the Aztecs survive. But the Pac-12 schedule, like, I've had people go like, this doesn't really move me at all. It's better than it was in the Mountain West. But even then, it's not spectacular, right? It's not a spectacular schedule. They play all the same teams that they're already playing, and their first conference games against Texas State. They get to play the two worst teams from the Pac-12 from previous years. So it might help them in basketball because now they can schedule more non-conference games. But overall, I mean, the gimmick of the flex schedule is fine. I don't mind that gimmick. I think that's a better idea for the Pac-12 if they execute it properly. But overall in the schedule, their non-conference schedule does more than their conference schedule does. I mean, Fresno State, cool. It's for the old oil can, but, Texas State coming here, that doesn't really move the needle. Utah State, I mean, Jordan Love's not walking through those doors. That doesn't really move the needle. I mean, you already played Boise State. That's not like an upgrade. Is there that much of an upgrade to this schedule than what you already had?
No.
I don't think it is.
And I want to emphasize again, I'm sure you said it, but that flex game is a non-conference game, by the way.
That's what I said. Yeah, it doesn't count towards the standings.
That. Yeah, it's a non-conference game with a conference opponent. It's basically Army Navy. They're both in the same conference.
Yeah,
but
it has no impact on anything, right? So, like, they're already going to know who the conference champion. I mean, that, and here's the problem with it. That has the ability to make those games not entertaining, except for like two teams. But even then, it's like the reality is, like, if you have the number one, like, you're not going to have number one play number two. That makes no sense because they had to play each other again the next week. So you're not going to have that matchup. So what kind of matchup could you potentially have to give them a better chance at making the college football playoff? Because that's the whole goal, right? Is to make the college football playoff. Well, if that's the case and it's already built in and that doesn't count to the standings, how many of these teams are going to try aside from like the number one and the number two team in conference if it doesn't count towards anything? I mean, the idea of the flex schedule is great if it impacts who gets to go to the championship. If it doesn't have an impact and you're just built in whatever the rivalry game is, it's kind of a waste of time. I think the premise is good for the flex scheduling, but I don't think they're executing this right. I really don't. I think this, as much as I love the flex idea, based on the way the Pac-12 is doing it, Frank, this honestly could be a massive flop for them.
Yes, it could be.
I mean, pull up the real quick. Just like pull up the and follow along with me. Pull up the matrix that they put out on the schedule.
Yes.
Right.
Hold on. Working.
The matrix they put out. So they have like these flex ideas. Well, if you look at what they teased, it was like, oh, you could see part 2 of San Diego State, Fresno State. And you can see part 2 of Oregon State, Washington State. If you look, that's just week 7.
Yeah.
It's the week 7 matchups, and Boise State and Utah State have a bye, which would be the other matchup, and it matches up where they would like basically flip what it was the next time. And you have Boise State, Utah State from week 5, and then every other matchup from week 7 just getting repeated in week 13, where they already have predetermined scheduling. And if that's the case, why didn't you just make that the deal instead of the flex game? But it's not going to count.
Yeah, but I mean, I understand like the idea of the flex game. I get it, but you've got this is the problem that you run into when you've only got 8 teams in the conference and you need to play 8 conference games. You're gonna see somebody twice, so you could say that with any of these.
No.
These matchups.
But if you count it in the standings, you could have 1 play 4 and 2 play 3, and then let 5, 6, 7, 8 just play whoever, and then it's a play into the championship game.
No,
and then you have a playoff, and it's better than just playing these games randomly that aren't going to do anything for you, because the whole idea was, well, we want to get a team in the playoff, right? Well, your only way you can get a team in the playoffs is if they play somebody good right before they play in the conference championship game. And if that's the case, who would that be? It would be 1 versus 2. You're going to have 1 versus 2 play back-to-back weeks and then play 3 games against each other? That doesn't make any sense.
No, I understand and I agree with what you're saying, but what my saying is why would anyone want to see? You could say that about every single week. You could say that, oh, well, San Diego State, Fresno State, that's just week 7 again. Like you're going to be saying that about any matchup, but I agree with you. The way they're doing the flex game is incorrect. I don't mind the idea of the flex game. The way they're implementing it is wrong.
I'm not talking about individual matchups. I'm talking about the entire week 7 is getting repeated into week 13. That's it. Because the games that they tease that could potentially happen are all the week 7 matchups. Those are the ones they had listed at the end of the thing. It's like, oh, San Diego State, Fresno State, and Washington State, Oregon State. It's like they're redoing the rivalry week again during the flex week, which is, by the way, during rivalry week during Thanksgiving break. So it's not actually a benefit, because what they claim it's to be is to get a team in the playoff. But the only way you're helping yourself get into the playoff is by having an extra game for 1 versus 2 who have already would have played each other at least once in the regular season, then in the flex week, and then again in the championship game. The execution's off. I like the idea, but the execution is off.
Right.
And
we're saying the same thing. We do have to get to break here because we got Drake waiting on hold. But I agree. I do like the idea of the flex game. I think the way that it's been implemented is completely wrong.
They screwed it up.
Yes.
To nobody's surprise. They screwed it up. They had a great idea to make a tournament and make people want to watch, and instead they messed it up and basically have pigeonholed themselves into doing week 7 over again, which is the week that they advertised. Drake Hills joins us next. We'll recap the final of the last game for San Diego FC, preview the next one, and get you ready for the weekend. Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. This was a week that perfectly captured where the University of San Diego is right now. We're now talking about the San Diego Toreros as part of our updates for the week on the Braden Surprenant Show. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. On one hand, frustration, inconsistency, and tough losses in men's basketball. On the other, breakthrough performances, records falling, and young stars announcing themselves on the women's side. And even a great softball win that shows how teams learn to close games. So the question becomes, which direction defines USD right now, the growing pains or the growth? Men's basketball, team still searching. Saturday night at LMU summed up the Toro season in 6 minutes. They were down 17-0 before you even get settled in your seat, forced to chase the game the rest of the night, and ended up losing by 20 points, 83-63.
Yeah, fighting from underneath you can only do for so long. Even though you did have a good second half, shot 60% from the field in the second half. You held LMU to only 5 made threes. Actually matched the Lions shot for shot at halftime. But when you spot them 17 points and you're fighting from underneath all night long, it does not make a night easy for you.
You're not going to win a lot of West Coast Conference games doing that either.
Not going to win any games doing that.
The bright spots, of course, Dominic Ford, the grad transfer, led the team with 14 points, 6 rebounds. Freshman Brandon Benjamin playing in his hometown, 5 for 5 from the floor, +6 in the plus-minus in just 13 minutes. Real glimpse of what the future could potentially be. But the reality is for San Diego now, you went into this game knowing that the teams you're competing with for extra seeding spots in the West Coast Conference tournament that we've talked about on previous updates were playing the top 3 teams in conference. They were playing Santa Clara. They were playing St. Mary's. They were playing Gonzaga, and they all lost to the top 3, and a win would have put you right in the thick of things where you could still be available for a Sunday bye in the West Coast Conference tournament for that tough weekend. But right now, you got to play in the play-in game on a Thursday, and that's something you really don't want to be in. They could still play their way out of it, but they sit at 4-9 in conference. They're the bottom of a crowded West Coast Conference middle tier, and now comes a critical stretch. 3-game homestand, which starts Wednesday against the team that you thought was going to be an easy victory against. Or not easy, because there's always difficult in conference play, but one that you would chalk up as a win against LMU. You lose by 20, and now a team in Portland that's red hot after they knocked off Gonzaga at home and had one of the biggest upsets of the season.
Yeah, and Portland, that is a huge game now coming up, especially after them beating Gonzaga. I mean, this is your last real opportunity to start building momentum before the conference tournament begins, as March is only getting closer as every second passes.
This men's team competes, but it doesn't dictate games. I mean, too often they have slow starts. They play uphill. They let opponents control tempo and confidence. Talent flashes are there, but the consistency isn't. And the late comebacks, it's tough when you dig yourself into a big hole. As for the women's basketball team, future is loud. Let's flip the script, because USD women's basketball had a pretty big week, statement week. I mean, they lost the game to Washington State on Thursday, but they had a huge performance at Olivia Owens. They lost in the final possession, but she ends up winning the West Coast Conference Freshman Player of the Week award. 31 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists last Thursday against Washington State, followed by a 20-point, 13-rebound performance and 7 assists for Seattle U. One of the best individual weeks by a Torero freshman ever.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's men's or women's to have 51 points, 24 rebounds, and 13 assists over a 2-game stretch. That is absolutely massive for anyone, men's or women's, in Division I college basketball.
And Saturday's win versus Seattle U, well, that was a 71-54 victory, a comeback victory for the Toreros, who got off to a tough start. They avenged the loss that they had at Seattle earlier in the year, Seattle's only conference win, but they got a program record 63 rebounds. They held Seattle to 19% shooting in the second half, and Eva Roos, 20 points, 18 rebounds, and her 4th double-double of the season. By the way, those 18 rebounds in the contest against Seattle puts her 8th all-time for most rebounds in a single game, and it's tied with a lot of alumni that were actually in attendance on Saturday. Pretty cool and fun story.
Yeah, that is absolutely awesome. And again, I mean, that's the good side of it. On the personal side, the team side of it, though, is they're still a very young physical team. They're learning how to play together. Still 3-10 in the conference. They've got Gonzaga coming up. I mean, this is a learning experience, a gelling year, if you will, for the Lady Toreros.
USC women's basketball will play Gonzaga on Thursday. In softball, they had a fun weekend to get things started, and their last game was a pretty important one. They were down 2-0 against Cal Poly. They had a 3-run 4th inning. Kelsey Tadlock shut the door in the circle, a 3-2 victory for the Toreros over the Mustangs. And that's a team that showed that they don't panic, get timely hits, know how to finish. And they got off to a pretty good start this weekend for the softball team. They opened at home this week, which is worth your attention. So be able to pay attention to what's going on in Linda Vista for softball. As for baseball, should be an interesting week as well. Some final segment of the week, the Braden Surprenant Show, live and locally each every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego Summer Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. I have a pair of tickets to give away, a 4-pack of tickets to Padres spring training at the Peoria Sports Complex. And if you call in and answer the trivia question, what World Baseball Classic team is playing the Padres in spring training? First one to call in and tell us what country is playing the Padres on March 4th, you will win spring training tickets and be qualified for a shot at our grand prize, 4 tickets to Padres and Giants at Petco Park on April 1st. Get your spring training tickets now at PeoriaBaseball.com. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. First one to call in. Tell me the country that the Padres are playing on March 4th, and you will win the tickets.
And do it as quickly as possible.
Do it as quickly as possible.
Because we cannot get to Drake Hills until you guys answer this trivia question.
It's going to be a lot of back and forth if that's the case. And flipping back, and he's not going to be able to hear us, and back and forth and back and forth. So,
all right, we got callers in now. Here we go.
Hopefully, Frank can get it done. Augie, you're correct, big dog, in the chat. Augie is correct. So, as we welcome in Drake Hills, we're going to get to him in just a second because we got to get this ticket giveaway that I forgot to do. College baseball update. San Diego up 3-0, bottom of the first. Runner on first with 2 outs for Charlotte. San Diego State will be in action tonight against Long Island at home at 6 o'clock. UCSD is at the number 1 team in the country in the UCLA Bruins at 5 o'clock. That game will be on the Big Ten Plus channel. San Diego State will be on ESPN Plus tonight, I think, if I'm not mistaken. San Diego's on ESPN Plus right now. So I think we found a winner. The correct answer is Great Britain. Great Britain is the country, that team, that the United States, or sorry, that the Padres are playing in spring training. So congratulations to one who won the tickets today. We really appreciate that. And once Frank's off the phone, we can then flip to Drake Hills and get to Drake as we talk about what San Diego FC has accomplished. Now, San Diego FC lost earlier this week, but they won the aggregate score, which means they are advancing in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. And we now bring in Drake Hills. Drake, sorry about all that. That was a lot. We only have one phone that we can use at one time, but good to have you, Drake, on the David P. Shapiro fan hotline.
Hey, man, I'm happy it's my turn. Happy Friday, you guys.
Unfortunately, I don't have tickets to give you. Otherwise, I would have helped out with that.
You can just give me an extra, maybe $20, $30 credit, go at Baja Rick's on a nice Friday. Great weather.
Maybe we'll scrub
I
the
just want to
foul
sit
you had
outside
from earlier.
and enjoy another Cali B or Baja Rick's. And anything that they bring from the back, I'm all good with.
All right, that sounds like a good idea. But, maybe we'll scrub the foul that I gave you for the 6-7 joke you made last night.
Alleged 6-7 joke. It was your call. You were on the call, Braden. I was simply just being the supplemental color analyst that I love to be.
All right, sounds good. Let's get to the conversation about San Diego FC. Obviously, lost this week, but won the aggregate score. What was your overall takeaway from San Diego FC in this first round matchup against Pumas Unam?
Yeah, Pumas is. We talked about a couple of the top players that they fielded. Obviously, Pedro Vite, a former Vancouver Whitecaps top player, designated player, played in MLS, now with Pumas. He got the goal in the second leg. That was really a hope for Pumas to try to start a very, you can call it improbable comeback, down 4-1 on aggregate, albeit at home. It was clearly, from San Diego FC's perspective, all about trying to hold up as much of a pressure up top as possible. Amal Pellegrino could have easily made this a 5, 6, 7, 1 or 2 aggregate scoreline because he actually had a couple of breakaway opportunities in the first half. But if you look at the stats, Pumas had over 2/3 of the ball, 23 shots, 10 of those on target, as opposed to San Diego's 4 shots total and just 2 of those on target. And as I said, Pellegrino was the one who was making a whole lot of noise offensively for San Diego. So job well done for SDFC, especially at home. That's going to be pivotal going up against a Mexican champion in Toluca who field about 4 Mexican national team players, Alexis Vega being one of those, Marcel Ruiz and the like, starting on March 11th.
Yeah, let's talk about that matchup. I mean, obviously the altitude got a little bit higher, the stakes have gotten a little bit higher, and the level of competition has gotten stronger as Toluca, as you mentioned, is almost like half of the Mexican national team and a team that has done very well in Liga MX, a lot different than Pumas. What is the preview of Toluca? What should San Diego FC fans expect in this next matchup coming up that will be the same thing with an aggregate score?
Yeah, well, this is a talented team that can make any opponent very stubborn. Jesus Gallardo, Alexis Vega, obviously with Vega and Marcel Ruiz in the midfield. Gallardo, he can set up in the midfield, but he's also can play at an outside back position. Ruiz is more of an advanced midfielder, more like a winger. But you also have Mauricio Isaias. He's a young, talented defender as well. So they've got a boatload of talent, and it's proven because, as I mentioned, they won the Apertura Mexican League, the Liga MX championship at the end of last year, and the year before that they won the Clausura, which so they are a composite champion in terms of Liga MX. And when it comes to how they play and how that could be troublesome for San Diego. I think Pablo Cisniega, who had an incredible round one, obviously with the second leg going against Pumas, the San Diego FC goalkeeper showed why he can be a number one for any team, not just in MLS, but I think in CONCACAF. He'll need to do that again. But here's the good thing, I think, for San Diego, which is that they are starting at home just as they did in round one. So in this round of 16 matchup against Toluca, they are going to start at Snapdragon on March 11th, which I think, despite Toluca having a 6-game advance on their league schedule compared to MLS, with San Diego FC not starting until the 21st, I think being at home is going to be their biggest benefit, especially the way that they play.
Yeah, and you look at the upcoming schedule, Drake. I mean, now they have a little bit of time off. They're not going to play until next Saturday, as you mentioned, in their home opener for the season against Montreal, and then they will play St. Louis to start the month of March, and then they got Kansas City, their only road game in between this, and then they go to, and then after that they come back to host Toluca, and then they'll play FC Dallas, and then back to Toluca and later on in the schedule. I mean, before it was just Pumas, and now you got a bunch of MLS games to kind of get you right before you take on a very powerful Toluca team. So do you find that as an advantage too, or does that make things more difficult now that you have MLS games mixed in?
Well, I think there's pros and cons. And Braden, I know we talked about this last week, specifically in terms of MLS teams historically trying to go on runs in the CONCACAF Champions League, Champions Cup, all the different renditions that we've seen over the past 10, 15 years. But in the most previous rendition, in which the Seattle Sounders obviously were the first team since the LA Galaxy over 25 years ago to make the final and then finally won it, that was a difficult first half. I was covering Nashville SC and MLS nationally for USA Today at the time, and the Seattle Sounders had incredible talent. The Roldan brothers, they had Nuhu, they had an insane amount of talent. And so Stefan Fry and goalkeeper, they had a team that could easily make an MLS run for an MLS Cup, but they had deployed all of their first teamers to try and make that run in the CONCACAF Champions League. So I think similarly, what this does is kind of challenge San Diego FC in terms of their depth, which I think we were able to see to start this season against Pumas. But I think the benefit, though, is that the way games have been scheduled, balancing MLS as well as the Champions League or Champions Cup, it's a lot less truncated. So you have that, 2 to 3 weeks before you have the midweek games in addition to MLS games. So you have that game against Montreal and then St. Louis, as you mentioned. You really get a nice start to the MLS back season as opposed to playing Champions Cup games up to and through the start of the season. So I think that's going to be a more clear mind that San Diego can focus on having a great start to the MLS campaign without losing any traction on the Champions Cup side.
Drake, we appreciate your time each and every time that you come on with us on Fridays. And then next Friday, of course, we'll get the preview of the first MLS game for San Diego FC against Montreal. It'll be a home opener for San Diego FC on February 21st. And there's a lot of soccer to be played in the month of March. So look forward to our future conversations. Thanks again. Have a good holiday weekend.
Yeah, and thanks for the pardon. Don't forget Tim, though. He had a foul as well last night.
We dished out the foul to Tim Day, and we have not relinquished said foul for said jokes.
Take care, guys.
See you, Drake. Drake Hill is joining us on the David P. Shapiro fan hotline. David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorneys helping good people regain control of their future when charged with the crime since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. Lots of sports this weekend. We'll have the full recap on Tuesday. And a week from today, sports fans, Padres fans, we got Padres baseball against the Mariners on these airwaves. Should be a fun time. Gwen and Chris coming up next. Hope you guys have a great long weekend. We'll talk to you guys on Tuesday.